Chapter 473. Boom. The surging attack exploded in the starry sky, and a powerful shockwave swept across thousands of kilometers. At the same time, a dazzling light illuminated the dark starry sky. A second later, the 18 stacked saber lights were blocked by the sword chi. It was blocked. No. Jiang Ci was about to heave a sigh of relief when his expression suddenly changed. After using up his life and slashing 18 times, McGee's soul aura had weakened to less than 1/10 of its original level. It was no threat to Jiang Ci. However, Jiang Ci felt a deep chill, as if a powerful existence was about to break free. It was eerie and terrifying, as if he had fallen into an endless abyss. His intuition told him that there was great danger. When the dazzling light in the distance subsided, Jiang Ci finally saw it clearly. There was a bloody hole in McGee's chest, and a figure came out of it. Although the figure was very similar to a human, this figure had silver hair, golden eyes, and blue skin. The eerie ghostly aura became extremely dense with his appearance. A powerful immortal aura enveloped Jiang Ci. A ghost race silver yaksha, and a ghost immortal of the third tribulation. Jiang Ci's breathing stopped. The silver yaksha race was a top-notch bloodline among the ghost race. This ghost immortal of the third tribulation was definitely comparable to an ordinary fourth tribulation transcender. This hitman had hidden himself too well. The ghost race wants to assassinate me. A ghost immortal of the third tribulation transcender realm using a late-stage Dao integration human cultivator as a carrier. This must be a spy of the ghost race that has been hiding in the land of reincarnation for a long time. No matter what, it's not something I can fight head-on. Jiang Ci's mind raced. He scanned his communication pearl with his spiritual sense, and hundreds of similar messages were sent out instantly. Senior Sun Yun, the person in charge of the surveillance station, is carrying a ghost immortal of the third tribulation to assassinate me. At this time, Immortal Sun Yun was chatting with Immortal Liu Chen of the Heavenly Sun sect in a palace at the edge of the Forgotten Mountain star system. Immortal Liu Chen was the representative of the Heavenly Sun sect in the land of reincarnation. He was a seventh tribulation transcender. Sun Yun, your luck is still so good. Jiang Ci is no ordinary genius disciple. When he transcends the tribulation to become an immortal, he will be able to transcend at least 4 tribulations in a row this time. You sold Jiang Ci a favor. Who knows, it might be of great use in the future, Immortal Liu Chen said with a smile. 4 tribulations in a row. You underestimate the genius of our Purple Heaven sect too much. I think he can overcome at least 6 tribulations in a row. Immortal Sun Yun chuckled and shook his head. Is that powerful? Geniuses who have the talent to transcend 4 tribulations in a row are rarely seen in a million years. Immortal Liu Chen was very surprised. What else? If it weren't for his short cultivation time, some of the higher-ups of our Purple Heaven sect would have ranked him as the strongest genius of this era. Immortal Sun Yun's voice was filled with pride and gratification. He was a cultivator who had a strong sense of belonging to the sect. At the same time, he liked to promote the younger generation. Immortal Liu Chen sighed and said, in an era of 36 million years, such a genius will have the chance to become a true monarch-level expert in the future. That's a true expert who can shake all the races in the universe. Haha, if you ask me. Immortal Sun Yun laughed loudly. Before he could finish speaking, his laughter suddenly disappeared. He frowned and took out his communication bead. Who sent me over 100 messages in a row? After scanning with his spiritual awareness, his expression changed greatly. Senior Sun Yun, there's a person in charge of a surveillance point who brought a 3 tribulation ghost immortal to assassinate me. Save me quickly. Over 100 messages, all of which had the same content, were obviously very urgent. Jiang Ci was assassinated. Immortal Sun Yun didn't care about Immortal Liu Chen beside him. He waved his hand, and a huge 3D image appeared in front of him. At the same time, he connected to the Eye of Heaven network. Search for information on Jiang Ci's location reported by all the people in charge of surveillance points. Because Jiang Ci always liked to stay in front of the demon corpses for an hour, this strange behavior was recorded and reported by many people in charge of surveillance points. Through this information, they could determine Jiang Xi's approximate location. Soon, the most recent message was filtered out. It was from 6 hours ago. A surveillance point in the 89167 area once reported Jiang Xi's location. Now, they had a rough idea of the area. Immortal Sun Yun searched again. Contact all the surveillance points in this area and confirm Jiang Xi's current location. 3 seconds later, there was a response. Nothing. Impossible. It's only been 6 hours. Even if the flying boat flew at full speed, it wouldn't be able to fly out of this area. Immortal Sun Yun's expression changed greatly. Check if there are any surveillance points in this area that have lost contact, Immortal Liu Chen, who had been silent all this time, reminded him. Immortal Sun Yun hurriedly contacted all the surveillance points in the 89167 area again. 3 seconds later, there was a result. There's no response from 2 surveillance points. They've lost contact. Immortal Sun Yun's expression darkened. It was certain that Jiang Xi was at this location. This location is too far away. With our speed, even if we rush there, it'll be too late. Immortal Liu Chen sighed. Only a true monarch can save Jiang Xi in time. Immortal Sun Yun didn't hesitate and sent a message to true monarch Guo He, who was guarding the land of reincarnation. This process took another second. After the message was sent, the 2 immortals who had been talking and laughing a moment ago had complicated expressions. True monarch Guo He is now in the Palm Base galaxy. After receiving the news, he'll need 1 minute to arrive in the 89167 area of the Wangshan galaxy. 1 minute to face a third tribulation ghost immortal. I hope Jiang Xi can survive. The 2 immortals knew very well that Jiang Xi was only a nascent soul cultivator. No matter how talented he was, he wouldn't be able to overcome the absolute disparity in strength between him and a third tribulation ghost immortal. In the Wangshan galaxy, in the starry sky filled with alien corpses, Jiang Xi wanted to take out the flying boat and use its speed to escape. However, the current situation didn't allow him to do so. 300 kilometers away, the third tribulation ghost immortal who'd crawled out of Maggie's chest had been locking onto him. If he made any move, he would definitely be struck by lightning. Maggie wasn't dead yet. He glared at Jiang Xi with a ferocious expression. As a late-stage Dao integration human cultivator, he was able to become the 4th spy of the ghost race in the land of reincarnation. It wasn't as simple as being controlled by spiritual consciousness. Most importantly, there was a third tribulation ghost immortal hiding in his body. It was from the Silver Yaksha clan, the top bloodline of the ghost race. Maggie said to the third tribulation ghost immortal of the Silver Yaksha clan, "Sir, I've eliminated all the surveillance points within a radius of 100,000 kilometers. You have 60 seconds to kill Jiang Xi. Otherwise, the perfected monarch of the human race will arrive. Your mission is complete," the third tribulation ghost immortal of the Silver Yaksha clan said coldly. A sinister aura swept across Maggie's body. Relief flashed across Maggie's eyes. If he could kill Jiang Xi alone, he would still have a chance to escape. Unfortunately, the ghost race wouldn't let him live after the third tribulation ghost immortal in his body attacked. That would leave clues for the human race. Chapter 474. Jiang Xi watched as the last trace of my Ji's aura disappeared. This late-stage Dao integration stage human cultivator who had been controlled by the ghost race was finally free. Next would be his death tribulation. The ghost immortal of the Silver Yaksha clan was comparable to an ordinary 4th tribulation transcender. Would he be able to deal with it? The answer was yes. I definitely can't. I can't think about how to kill him now. It's not realistic. What I need to do now is to stall for time and hold on. As long as I can hold on until reinforcements come, I'll win. Jiang Xi's mind was very clear. The problem was, would this ghost immortal give him the chance to stall for time? The answer was yes. No. Now it's your turn, little fellow of the human clan. The 3 tribulation ghost immortal of the Silver Yaksha clan had a cold look in his golden eyes. Whoosh! A long dragon that was like an icy river, carrying a sinister ghost chi, instantly swept over tens of thousands of kilometers, roaring as it attacked riverward. The powerful immortal Tao pressure restricted Jiang Xi's movements and made it difficult for him to use his spiritual sense. In this situation, it seemed like he could only wait to be captured. Jiang Xi clenched his teeth and the veins all over his body bulged. He held the sword with both hands and roared, "Kill!" This roar allowed him to break through the shackles and finally mobilize the power of his Daoist techniques. The supreme-grade immortal artifact Red Cloud Sword was immediately surrounded by the Daoist techniques of Sword, Gale, Fire, and Diamond. The 4 Daoist techniques fused together. The basic spiritual power amplitude of 2,000 times increased by 4 times when the 4 Daoist techniques fused together. It became 8,000 times. 4 colored green lotuses appeared one after another. There were 165 of them in total. This was his strongest attack. Strands of 4-colored sword chi were condensed from the green lotuses. There were a total of 16,500 strand. Then, in an instant, they gathered into a huge sword chi that was 100,000 feet long and faced the ice dragon. Boom boom boom. The ice dragon summoned by the ghost immortal shrank under the obstruction of the sword chi. Finally, only half of it was left and hit Jiang Xi with the difference in strength. Jiang Xi could not dodge at all. Whoosh! Jiang Xi was directly submerged by the ice dragon. Crack crack! The toughness of his body, which he was so proud of, suffered a heavy blow for the first time. Terrifying cracks appeared on his body. They were densely packed like glass that was about to shatter. At the same time, the eerie ghostly aura carried by the glacier dragon seemed to be able to freeze his soul and slow down his thinking. The sea of consciousness, which was originally full of vitality, was rapidly freezing. He could foresee that if his entire sea of consciousness froze, then he would really be finished. At this critical moment, the nascent soul sitting on the crude lotus seat emitted a gentle golden light, dispelling the ghastly ghost chi. Not only that, a faint golden light appeared behind Jiang Xi's head. A surprising scene appeared. The killing move of a dignified 3 Tribulation Ghost Immortal was actually suppressed by the golden light. The ghastly ghost chi that filled this expanse of the starry sky was like snow that had encountered the scorching sun, and it swiftly melted and transformed into nothingness. This is the Bodhisattva fruit of Buddhism? Impossible. Impossible. The 3 Tribulation Ghost Celestial from the Silver Yakshaw clan had been full of confidence. But now, his face was filled with disbelief and shock. Because the Ghost Clan was most afraid of the lightning of Taoism and the light of Buddhism. Now, Jiang Xi was displaying the light of Buddhism. The 3 Tribulation Ghost Celestial took a deep breath and quickly suppressed the shock in his heart. Because this attack had lasted for 10 seconds. He dared not delay any longer. A long silver rod with golden patterns appeared in his hand. His figure flashed and he rushed toward Jiang Xi at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh! The long rod whistled and smashed toward Jiang Xi. The immortal power on the rod was turbulent, but it only carried a small amount of ghost chi. Because he knew that ghost chi was now useless against Jiang Xi. Even if I only use immortal power, I can still kill you. The 3 Tribulation Ghost Celestial's eyes were cold. Clang! Clang! Jiang Xi brandished his sword to meet the attack. Every time their magic treasures collided, Jiang Xi would be repelled hundreds of kilometers away, and then the 3 Tribulation Ghost Celestial would catch up with him. It seemed that he had blocked the opponent's attack, but the price he paid was that the cracks on his body were constantly expanding. In the end, his body, which was 10 times stronger than a supreme-grade spirit weapon, could not withstand the attack of an immortal Tao expert. Under such circumstances, Jiang Xi persisted for another 20 seconds. In fact, it was already very impressive that he could last until now. This 3 Tribulation Ghost Celestial of the Silver Yakshaw clan was equivalent to an ordinary 4 Tribulation Transcender. His cultivation level was only at the early stage Essence Soul realm, and his actual combat power was barely at the late stage Tao Integration realm. If the news that he could last for 30 seconds under the opponent's all-out attack spread out, it would definitely cause a big sensation. The strength of his body and the mutated golden light of his essence soul were the main reasons why Jiang Xi could last until now. Just the ghost chi losing its effect was equivalent to weakening the 3 Tribulation Ghost Celestial's strength. This is still not enough. Just now, my G said that this ghost celestial has a total of 1 minute. Now, only 30 seconds have passed. It seems that I have no choice but to reveal my trump card. Jiang Xi did not hesitate. He held the sword in his right hand and kept blocking the opponent's attacks. At the same time, a miniature sky tower appeared in his left hand. Tower! What kind of magical treasure is this? The Three Tribulation Ghost Celestial was puzzled, but he did not stop attacking. The silver staff with golden patterns turned into countless phantoms. Some were blocked by Jiang Xi, while others hit Jiang Xi, causing serious injuries. It doesn't have the aura of an immortal artifact. It's not a supreme-grade immortal artifact. Could it be a Dao artifact? The Three Tribulation Ghost Celestial denied this inference. Impossible. He has no immortal power, so he can't use a Dao artifact. It should be some life-saving magical treasure. The Three Tribulation Ghost Celestial knew that with Jiang Xi's status, he would definitely have a life-saving magical treasure. But it's too late to take it out now. He believed that at most 3 seconds, Jiang Xi's body would be smashed into pieces, and he would die. At this moment, whoosh, the quaint sky tower suddenly expanded to more than 2 meters long. Jiang Xi grabbed the top of the tower and smashed it toward the Three Tribulation Ghost Celestial as if he was holding a club. Bang! There was a loud sound like thunder, and the sound wave spread out 3,000 kilometers. Crack! There was another soft sound. A crack appeared on the silver staff with golden patterns after being smashed by the sky tower. If it was smashed a few more times, it would probably break. What? The Three Tribulation Ghost Celestial was shocked. His staff was a supreme-grade immortal artifact. How could it be smashed with just one hit? What kind of magical treasure was this? Was it really a Dao artifact? Bang! 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 Jiang Xi did not give him much time to be shocked. He kept smashing the sky tower with the club-like Dao artifact. Crack! This time, it was not the sound of Jiang Xi's body cracking, but the staff of the Three Tribulation Ghost Celestial in front of him breaking into 2 pieces. The supreme-grade immortal artifact was destroyed. This process took another 10 seconds. Such a genius is only the 10th target. Those ghost celestials in charge of intelligence in the clan should all die. The Three Tribulation Ghost Celestial was furious. He did not feel sorry for his magical treasure, because he was a man of sacrifice lurking in the human territory. Once he attacked, he would have no chance to survive. There's no time. Chapter 475. There's no time. That's it. The Third Tribulation Ghost Immortal of the Silver Yakshaw race suddenly exploded with anger. Explode. His long silver hair stood on end, and his golden pupils emitted a divine light. Immortal power circulated rapidly throughout his body, and his body swelled. A terrifying aura suddenly spread out. He was going to self-detonate. He was going to kill Jiang Xi through self-detonation and complete the mission. Lunatic. Lunatic. River Word cursed incessantly. He was too close, and he couldn't dodge at all. The self-detonation of a Third Tribulation Ghost Immortal could easily destroy hundreds of planets. Even if his body was 10 times stronger than a supreme-grade spirit artifact, he would probably turn into ashes in an instant. Quick! Hide in Sky Tower. Ni Shong was also anxious. In just an instant, the Third Tribulation Ghost Immortal exploded. Boom! 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 The starry sky within tens of thousands of kilometers was instantly compressed and collapsed, as if a star had exploded. The terrifying impact swept out. Many of the demon corpses stored in this starry sky were below the 6th tribulation level and were directly destroyed. By the time everything settled down, the 30,000-meter-tall heaven-reaching pavilion at the center of the explosion had disappeared. In its place was Jiang Xi, whose body was about to collapse. He desperately stuffed healing spirit pills into his mouth, trying to stop his body from continuously cracking. It was too tragic. If he had entered the Sky Tower a thousandth of a second later, he would have been gone. After a full 10 seconds, his injuries finally stopped. Jiang Xi's aura was so weak that it was even weaker than a golden core cultivator. However, he survived. Almost. Jiang Xi let out a long breath. The third tribulation demon corpses in front of him were originally 3,000 kilometers in diameter, but now there were only corpses less than 10 meters long left. How terrifying. These are all tribulation transcendent demon corpses. Even I can't destroy them without using Red Heaven Sword and the Sky Tower. They're gone just like that. He spread out his spirit sense and found that 1/5 of the demon corpses within a radius of 60,000 kilometers had been destroyed by the explosion just now. How much was 1/5? Jiang Ci had strolled around this area before, so he had a rough impression. There were almost 100,000 monster corpses in this area, and all of them were at the tribulation immortal realm. 1/5 was equivalent to 20,000 corpses. To destroy so many tribulation transcender monster corpses, the losses of the Forgotten Mountain star system might reach tens of billions of points. Those immortal path powerhouses are going to have a headache. Suddenly, Jiang Ci's eyes lit up. He remembered that McGee had said that all the surveillance points within 100,000 kilometers had been cleared. There was no one watching them now. It can be confirmed that this information is reliable. There was such a huge commotion before the explosion, but the person in charge of the surveillance point didn't come out. It doesn't matter if the information is unreliable. Even if they were still alive before the explosion, they should have died after the explosion. Riverward's thoughts spun rapidly as he came to a decision. Now, 45 seconds had passed. He still had 15 seconds before he was unmonitored. After thinking for a while, Jiang Ci asked in his heart, "Sister Ni Shong, can the perfected Lord discover your existence? After you recognize him as your master, if you don't take the initiative to expose the existence of the heaven-reaching pavilion, even the Tao Lord won't be able to discover you." Ni Shong was very confident. Jiang Ci was relieved. He took out the flying boat and directly sped up. It crossed tens of thousands of kilometers and came to a pile of 6th tribulation monster corpses. He waved his hand and put them into the heaven-reaching pavilion. Then, he sped up again and came to a pile of 7th tribulation monster corpses 4,000 kilometers away. He put them into the heaven-reaching pavilion. He was very fast. In 10 seconds, he had collected more than 1,000 tribulation transcender monster corpses. Although only a small portion of them were 9th stage monster corpses, so many of them were worth hundreds of millions of points. Moreover, compared to the 20,000 or so corpses he had destroyed just now, these 1,000 or so corpses were insignificant. I encountered an assassination here and almost lost my life. It shouldn't be too much to take some compensation, right? Jiang Ci took them with a clear conscience. This wasn't stealing, there were only 5 seconds left. Jiang Ci didn't collect the other monster corpses. He quickly thought about how to explain all this. After 3 seconds, a tall figure appeared out of thin air at the center of the explosion of the third tribulation ghost immortal. The tall figure vaguely merged with the starry sky, and the mysterious aura he emitted revealed his identity. This was a perfected lord of the Tao immortal stage. Jiang Ci had seen 2 perfected lords since he started cultivating. They were perfected Lord Iron Mountain and perfected Lord Six Virtuous. This was the third. "Greetings, perfected Lord." Jiang Ci bowed respectfully. Perfected Lord Guo, he was expressionless. It was impossible to tell what he was thinking from his face. In fact, he was surprised. After receiving Immortal Sun Yun's message, he immediately rushed here. He thought that after coming here, he would at most collect Jiang Ci's corpse and take revenge. He didn't expect that Jiang Ci was still alive, and the assassin was already dead. With his strength, he could of course determine that the Ghost Clan assassin had died by self-explosion. To be able to force the assassin to self-explode and survive the explosion, this little guy from the Purple Heaven sect was not simple. "Tell me what happened. I want the details." Perfected Lord Guo, his deep voice seemed to be able to affect one's soul. Jiang Ci wasn't affected at all because of the special nature of his primordial spirit. He said calmly, "Perfected Lord, I came to the land of reincarnation to buy a batch of rank 9 great demon corpses. When I was shopping, I met a monitoring point commander called my G. He said that he wanted to check my identity. When I was about to show him my identity, he suddenly attacked. However, I'm not afraid of a late-stage Tao integration realm cultivator. Jiang Xi paused. He realized that perfected Lord Guo he didn't respond. This discovery made him a little nervous. He knew very well that he had to be careful when facing the perfected Lord's questions. The land of reincarnation was an important place for the human race. An assassination attempt was a big deal. Losing goods worth tens of billions of points was also a big deal. Jiang Xi continued, "What I didn't expect was that my Ji was hiding a third tribulation ghost immortal from the Silver Yaksha clan." Silver Yaksha? Perfected Lord Guo he finally spoke. Yes, a Silver Yaksha from the ghost clan. He has silver hair, golden pupils, blue skin. Jiang Xi explained in detail. Perfected Lord Guo he nodded slightly. "I know I'm not a match for a third tribulation ghost immortal. Fortunately, Master gave me a purple jade immortal talisman. I risked my life to severely injure him." Jiang Xi said. "Purple jade immortal talisman?" Perfected Lord Guo he asked again. "Yes. When I was cultivating in the third heaven of the Purple Heaven sect, I also encountered a life or death crisis. After I escaped, Master was worried about my safety and gave me a purple jade immortal talisman," Jiang Xi explained. This was the excuse he had thought of. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to cover up his lie and expose the existence of the heaven connecting tower. The purple jade immortal talisman was a one-time secret treasure that could only be refined by immortal Dao experts. When activated, it could severely injure tribulation immortal cultivators. Chapter 476. The Wine Sword Immortal was a top 9th tribulation transcender, so the purple jade immortal talisman he refined was naturally very powerful. The purple jade immortal talisman could explain why it could force a 3 tribulation ghost immortal to self-destruct. Of course, Jiang Xi wasn't sure if his master had refined such a thing. Anyway, he had to deal with the current situation first. He wasn't worried that true monarch Guo he or anyone else would ask the Wine Sword Immortal for confirmation. After all, the Wine Sword Immortal would definitely help him fill in the gaps. What else? True monarch Guo he asked again. Jiang Xi didn't hesitate and continued, "I used the purple jade immortal talisman to severely injure the 3 tribulation ghost immortal of the Silver Yaksha clan. Then, I took the opportunity to escape on the flying boat. However, the ghost immortal was too ruthless. He saw that he couldn't kill me, so he self-destructed. At this time, the airship had only flown 20,000 kilometers when it was affected by the explosion. I almost died. The self-destruction of a 3 tribulation ghost immortal was too terrifying." Jiang Xi sighed with lingering fear as he quickly thought about whether there were any loopholes in his story. When he went to take away the corpses of the great demons, he had also put away the broken supreme-grade immortal staff. This was the clue that would most likely reveal that he had a powerful magic treasure. After confirming again and again, there shouldn't be any loopholes in the scene. However, he was still a little nervous, as he didn't know what this true monarch would do. In fact, true monarch Guo he didn't care about Jiang Xi's last words. He could tell that Jiang Xi's current injuries were indeed very serious. If Jiang Xi's body wasn't strong enough, he would have been dead by now. Something else must have happened after the ghost immortal talisman self-destructed. His intuition told him that Jiang Xi was hiding something. However, Jiang Xi's story was very reasonable. The only thing worth investigating was the purple jade immortal talisman. True monarch Guo he said, "I'll send someone to the Wine Sword Immortal to verify the purple jade immortal talisman you just mentioned. As for other things, the 9 immortal Dao experts of the Forgotten Mountain Star System will decide." Other things? Jiang Xi's heart tightened, but he remained calm on the surface. He wanted to ask true monarch Guo he, but he found that this high and mighty existence had no intention of continuing the conversation. His eyelids drooped. He could only give up. After a short while, a ripple appeared in the distant starry sky, and a flying boat shuttled over. There were 2 immortals on the flying boat. One was immortal Sun Yun, and the other was immortal Liu Chen. They first came before true Lord Guo he and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, true Lord. All right, I'll leave it to you. There won't be any major problems with the assassination. As for the other matters, you have to deal with them carefully. True Lord Guo. He nodded slightly and disappeared. Handle it carefully. The two sixth tribulation transcenders looked at each other. They were naturally relieved that Jiang Ci was still alive. However, when they looked at the empty starry sky caused by the self-explosion of the three tribulation ghost celestial, both of them looked very serious. The last words of Immortal Guo. He concluded that there was nothing wrong with the assassination process, so there was no need to investigate how Jiang Ci survived. But the other matters were equally serious. The 20,000 tribulation transcender monster corpses had been destroyed, resulting in the loss of tens of billions of points. This was definitely a big deal. The nascent soul stage core disciples of the Purple Heaven sect could only obtain tens of thousands of points even if they were to risk their lives doing cultivation missions. Only hellish missions that had a high chance of survival would give them hundreds of thousands of points. Thus, it was clear what tens of billions of points meant. With such a big loss, the 9 immortal Tao representatives of the Forgotten Mountain Star system couldn't guarantee that they would be able to escape punishment from the Heavenly Court. Of course, they couldn't ignore the assassination of Jiang Ci. Strictly speaking, it was a failure of the Forgotten Mountain Star system to allow a foreign spy to sneak in, resulting in today's assassination. Immortal Sun Yun asked, Jiang Ci, who tried to assassinate you? Jiang Ci replied, the commander in charge of the surveillance point, Mike G. He had a 9-colored seal in his hand, and it had the aura of your immortal power. At the same time, he waved his hand and summoned a 3-dimensional phantom. It was the image of the black-armored man, Mike G. No matter what, he had to deal with this matter first. Mike G. Immortal Sun Yun was puzzled. Immortal Liu Chen nodded, and said, there is such a person. He's a commander for 800 years. Immortal Sun Yun made his stance clear. It seems that there was a problem with our internal management. We failed in our duty. Jiang Ci relaxed a bit. Actually, it made sense. He was one of the core disciples with the highest status in the Purple Heaven sect. Not many people dared to make trouble for him and slander him. The only problem is that the losses this time are too big. If we only lost 10 or 20 million points, Liu Chen and I would be able to forget about it. But now that we've lost 20,000 tribulation transcender monster corpses, the total value is between 30 billion and 50 billion points. With such a large loss, the higher-ups will definitely hold us accountable. Immortal Sun Yun's expression was serious. Jiang Ci said, I'm the victim. I know that. I'm also a member of the Purple Heaven sect, so I definitely believe you. Liu Chen is my good friend, so there's no need to doubt his attitude. The main thing is that the representatives of the other 7 immortal Dao sects compete with each other. They might use this as a pretext to target and suppress you. In addition, the people in charge of the surveillance point within 100,000 kilometers are all dead. In other words, there are no witnesses to what you just said, Immortal Sun Yun said. Jiang Ci frowned. Although he was a bit unhappy, he knew that Immortal Sun Yun's warning was indeed about the trouble that might appear next. Seeing that Jiang Ci was silent, Immortal Sun Yun continued, after a while, the representatives of the other 7 immortal Dao sects will arrive. There's one person you have to pay attention to, Immortal Qiao Tu from the Daoist sect. He's the only 7th tribulation transcender among us. He has a strong background and is the most domineering one among us. After the 7 of them arrive, be careful not to offend him. Jiang Ci nodded. He had a strong background and was described by Immortal Sun Yun in such a manner. He had to pay attention to him. At the edge of the Forgotten Mountain Star system, Immortal Qiao Tu's palace. Immortal Qiao Tu received news that Jiang Ci had been attacked. We were just talking about Jiang Ci. I didn't expect him to be in the Forgotten Mountain Star system. Immortal Qiao Tu's gaze was ruthless. Such a coincidence. Immortal Wu Yi was surprised. He was attacked by a spy of the ghost race and almost died. Immortal Qiao Tu gave a simple explanation of what had happened. His lucky. Immortal Wu Yi sneered. Lucky? That depends on whose hands it falls into. This attack caused him to lose tens of billions of points. He won't be able to avoid it. Immortal Qiao Tu sneered. Immortal Wu Yi was shocked when he heard about tens of billions of points. Then, he understood. Then I'll wait here for your good news. If you can sentence Jiang Ci to death, I'll immediately go to the foreign battlefield and get you underworld spirit crystals. Haha, a puny primordial soul realm cultivator, isn't it easy to capture him? Immortal Qiao Tu laughed. Immortal Wu Yi's eyes twitched. He knew that this was a chance to kill Jiang Ci. With Immortal Qiao Tu's background, he might really be able to use this matter to kill Jiang Ci. Chapter 477. Forgotten Mountain Star System, Area 89167. After the big explosion, the starry sky was in ruins. Jiang Ci, Immortal Sun Yun, and Immortal Liu Chen waited quietly in the ruins. Not long after, 7 flying ships appeared in the distant starry sky one after another. Whoosh, 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 hundreds of figures came down from the 7 flying ships, and hundreds of them emitted powerful immortal auras. They were all Tribulation Transcender powerhouses. So many monster corpses are missing. This is a big loss. The immortals were frightened by the scene in front of them. They still didn't know what had happened. The representatives of the 7 immortal sects knew. The 7 of them brought their subordinates and flew toward Jiang Ci's group. The one in the lead was a young 7th Tribulation Transcender. Although he was handsome, his naturally balding hair directly pulled down his looks. Moreover, this person's appearance was quite arrogant. One could feel his arrogant aura before even approaching him. Jiang Ci's group also took the initiative to greet him. The 2 sides stood still. Immortal Sun Yun had already put away his serious expression. He smiled and said, "Jiang Ci, let me introduce you to these seniors. This is Immortal Qian Luo of the Primordial Chaos Sect. This is Fairy Huan Hua of the Moon Sect. This is Sword Immortal Chunfeng of the Sword Sect. This is Arhat Mo Yu of the Buddhist Sect." Immortal Sun Yun introduced the 6 immortal sects one after another. Every time he introduced one, Jiang Ci respectfully bowed. These 6 people were all 6 Tribulation Transcenders, and their attitudes were very friendly. When it came to the last handsome young man with balding hair, Immortal Sun Yun's smile became more obvious. He was very enthusiastic, and his tone was also a bit higher. Jiang Ci, the last one is Immortal Qiao Tu from the Dao sect. His talent is not inferior to yours. When Immortal Qiao Tu transcended tribulation to become an immortal, he transcended 5 tribulations in a row. He could be said to be the strongest genius at that time. Jiang Ci respectfully bowed again. "Greetings, Immortal Qiao Tu." A playful look flashed in Immortal Qiao Tu's eyes, and he softly said, "Is Liquor Sword Immortal doing well?" "Master is doing very well." Jiang Ci was unsure of Immortal Qiao Tu's meaning very good. I remember that he only has 3,000 years left in his lifespan. He's about to die." Immortal Qiao Tu's words sounded like he was concerned, but in reality, they were not friendly. Jiang Ci frowned slightly. If it weren't for the fact that he was weaker than the other party, he would have already made his move. "Not happy." Immortal Qiao Tu smiled carelessly and said, "Then let's talk about what happened this time. I took a look just now, and there are no less than 20,000 Tribulation Transcender monster corpses missing. Calculating the value, it should be around 30 billion to 50 billion. Perfected Cultivator Guo, he sent us what you said and I read it in detail. You said that you were assassinated by the Ghost Clan, but where's the evidence? From the beginning to the end, you were the only one who spoke." Qiao Tu, Perfected Cultivator Guo, he has come to a conclusion about this matter. It was indeed a ghost immortal of the ghost race who tried to assassinate Jiang Ci. We're the ones responsible for this. It's a problem with the internal management of the Forgotten Mountain Star System. Immortal Sun Yun smiled. "That's right," Immortal Liu Chen chimed in. "That's the Perfected Cultivator's conclusion, and it can only be used as a reference. All matters of the Forgotten Mountain Star System should be decided by the 9 major Immortal Dao sect." Immortal Qiao Tu showed his domineering nature, not even giving face to Perfected Cultivator Guo He. Immortal Sun Yun and Immortal Liu Chen's faces darkened, while the other 6 Immortal Dao representatives remained silent. Immortal Qiao Tu looked at Jiang Ci with a stern expression and said, "Humph, if you ask me, This is a good show that you directed and acted out yourself. You came to the Forgotten Mountain Star System to buy monster corpses, and then took the opportunity to kill the person in charge of the nearby surveillance points. Commander McGee happened to pass by here, and he was also killed. In the end, you took away 20,000 Tribulation Transcender monster corpses when no one was watching you. Then, you detonated energy-type secret treasures, such as the Ghost Demon Essence, to create the effect of the Ghost Race's immortal Tao expert self-destruction. The monster corpses worth tens of billions were enough for you to take the risk. After all, with your identity as a genius, very few people would suspect your identity. His cold words caused Jiang Xi's expression to change drastically. Although this person was arrogant and domineering, his words hit Jiang Xi's weak spot. No one was watching, no witnesses. He could say that he was right, and Immortal Qiao Tu could also say that he was right. Immortal Qiao Tu, Jiang Xi said in a low voice. You still want to deny it? Immortal Qiao Tu's eyes were cold. A powerful immortal Tao aura enveloped Jiang Xi, making it impossible for Jiang Xi to say a word. Qiao Tu, do you really have to do this? Immortal Sun Yun's expression was solemn. Have you all forgotten your duties? Immortal Qiao Tu looked coldly at the other 8 immortal Tao representatives. We represent the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance to guard the land of reincarnation, the Forgotten Mountain Star System. I hope that when you make your judgments, you can put aside your personal grudges and your sect's emotions. We have to protect the interests of the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance and the human race. He spoke eloquently and with a strong sense of righteousness. When Jiang Xi heard this, he was filled with anger. Motherfucker, he dared to confuse right and wrong and splash dirty water on him. This was definitely a personal grudge. Otherwise, Immortal Qiao Tu wouldn't have taken the initiative to mention Wine Sword Immortal. However, he was currently enveloped by the other party's immortal Tao aura and was unable to refute or resist. Immortal Qiao Tu continued, this is an item worth several tens of billions of points. It doesn't matter if this is a show directed and acted by Jiang Xi, or if he really encountered an assassination attempt. We have to investigate this thoroughly. What do you all think? After saying this, he swept his domineering gaze across the 8 immortal Tao experts. Primordial Chaos Sect's Immortal Qian Luo said, the Heavenly Court will definitely investigate this matter. If we investigate this thoroughly, we will be able to deal with it in advance. Moon Sect's Fairy Huan Hua said, it's good to investigate. I feel that Jiang Xi wouldn't do such a thing. However, we have to clear him of suspicion. Let's investigate. It won't take much time. Let's investigate. The other immortal Tao representatives expressed their opinions one after another. However, everyone's attitude was to smooth things over. They didn't clearly express their opinions. Immortal Qiao Tu also didn't want to offend Jiang Xi. Qiao Tu, can't we just let Jiang Xi swear a heavenly Tao oath? Immortal Sun Yun's attitude was very clear. Yeah, a heavenly Tao oath can also prove Jiang Xi's innocence. Immortal Liu Chen also said, a heavenly Tao oath. Who can guarantee that he doesn't have a secret treasure to avoid the oath? Immortal Qiao Tu sneered. Immortal Sun Yun and Immortal Liu Chen looked at each other. Both of them were very helpless. Facing Immortal Qiao Tu, who had a powerful background and strength, they had no way to deal with him. Immortal Qiao Tu looked at Jiang Xi and said, now that everyone agrees to investigate this matter in detail, do you agree? I believe that seniors will prove my innocence. Jiang Xi understood that people had no choice but to lower their heads under someone else's roof. If this son of a bitch was muddle-headed and directly killed him, there would be no way to reason with him. However, he didn't directly answer whether he agreed or not. He only wanted to say that he was innocent. Chapter 478. Although Riverward had his head lowered, his words were filled with pride and arrogance. As long as he was innocent. Qiao Tu understood the hidden meaning in Jiang Xi's words and said coldly, I want you to open your primordial spirit and let me search your soul. This way, I can confirm whether what you said before about the assassination is true. Don't worry, I promise I won't hurt your primordial spirit. Impossible. Jiang Ci didn't even think about it and directly refused. You are guilty. Qiao Tu sneered. Guilty? I respect you as a senior, and of course I don't dare to go against your will. However, my primordial spirit is the foundation of my soul. Once something happens to my primordial spirit, my cultivation will regress, and in the worst case, I will die. Jiang Ci was neither servile nor overbearing. You don't believe me? Qiao Tu looked unhappy. It's not that I don't believe you, I just don't like to put my life in the hands of others, Jiang Ci said loudly. Regardless of whether he had secrets or not, soul-searching was a very dangerous thing. If he was careless, he would be seriously injured. What if immortal Qiao Tu was up to no good, saying that his hand had slipped and he would cripple his cultivation or even kill him? At that time, even if someone helped him take revenge, what was the use? Moreover, he had so many secrets, such as the experience panel, Earth, Sky Tower, and so on. Each of them was a big secret that could not be exposed. Qiao Tu, Jiang Ci is a core disciple of Purple Heaven sect. If anything happens to him, the sect's higher-ups will definitely investigate. Have you thought it through? Immortal Sun Yun said. He did not directly blame Qiao Tu, but used the higher-ups of Purple Heaven sect to pressure Qiao Tu. Qiao Tu coldly glanced at Immortal Sun Yun, but he listened and did not continue to ask for soul-searching. It's fine if you don't want to soul-search, but let me check your storage ring. Immortal Qiao Tu's tone was unquestionable and domineering. 20,000 tribulation transcendent monster corpses would require a storage space with a diameter of hundreds of millions of kilometers. Do you think I have such a big storage ring? Jiang Ci was so angry that he laughed. He now completely understood that this person was here to find trouble. Even if he gave his storage ring to the other party to check, there would definitely be other problems later on. Anything is possible. Immortal Qiao Tu said. As expected, he wouldn't give up until he found out something. Alright, I can let you check my storage ring, but, if there aren't 20,000 demon corpses in there, I want you to apologize to me in front of everyone. Jiang Ci sneered. Since you're being unreasonable, why should I care about face with you? Brat, you've got guts. You've successfully angered me. Immortal Qiao Tu's expression was cold as killing intent burst forth. A strange aura spread out from the top of his head and rushed straight at Jiang Ci. Qiao Tu, don't cross the line, Sun Yunxian shouted and appeared in front of Jiang Ci. Boom. Immortal Sun Yun had defeated the strange aura, but his face had turned somewhat pale. Clearly, in order to block this attack, he had paid a great price. Jiang Ci was so shocked that he broke out in cold sweat. He had truly experienced the descent of death just now. He could imagine that if he had been hit by that strange aura, he would have been dead. Qiao Tu, you dare to kill me? You're finished. After today's matter, I will definitely report this matter to True Monarch Iron Mountain and True Monarch 6 Virtuous who guided my sword cultivation back then. I'll let these two sirs be the judge. I encountered an assassination in the Forgotten Mountain star system. Not only did no one investigate the assassination thoroughly, they even tried to slander me. Jiang Ci raised the flag first. He called out the names of two true monarchs in a row. True Monarch Iron Mountain, True Monarch 6 Virtuous. Immortal Qiao Tu was so angry that his eyelids were twitching. A terrifying aura emerged from his bald scalp. However, he didn't attack in the end. The other immortals around were also extremely shocked. They had the qualifications to guard the land of reincarnation, of course, they had a background. This was especially so for the 9 immortal Dao representatives. They had deep backgrounds, so they weren't afraid of Jiang Ci's master, the Wine Sword Immortal. However, it was different for true monarchs. Even the weakest true monarch could easily kill them. What shocked them the most was that Jiang Ci was actually related to True Monarch 6 Virtuous. True Monarch 6 Virtuous was a top-notch true monarch. He had lived for countless years long before the Dao Alliance Heavenly Court was established. He was an ancient existence. Although such an expert had disappeared long ago, his name still spread through the long river of time. True Monarch 6 Virtuous is just a nascent soul cultivator. How could he be related to such an ancient existence? Immortal Qiao Tu was extremely fearful. He also had a true monarch backing him, but compared to true monarch 6 virtuous, he was still a far cry. However, he dared to refute me in public. This matter can't be settled easily. Locking him up for 1,000 years is equivalent to crippling him. Immortal Qiao Tu made a decision. He coldly shouted, "No matter how much you quibble, you won't be able to wash away the suspicion of theft. Men, lock him up. Don't let him out until this matter is investigated thoroughly." Yes. The dozen or so tribulation transcenders behind him flew toward Jiang Ci. Immortal Sun Yun heaved a sigh of relief and didn't stop them. Since Immortal Qiao Tu had chosen to take a step back, there was no need to worry about Jiang Ci's life. As long as Jiang Ci could survive, they could slowly deal with him later. Immortal Qiao Tu, just you wait. I'll definitely report this matter to True Monarch Iron Mountain and True Monarch 6 Virtuous. I just want to ask them whether the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court has the final say in this land of reincarnation, or whether it's the Daoist faction. Jiang Ci didn't resist, but the words he said made Immortal Qiao Tu furious. Take him away, take him away, Immortal Qiao Tu angrily shouted. He hadn't met someone who dared to be so arrogant in front of him for a long time. Immortal Sun Yun and the other Immortal Tao representatives remained silent, but they were secretly happy to see this scene. This was the first time they had seen Immortal Qiao Tu suffer. Immortal Qiao Tu was usually very domineering in front of them. Inside a small palace at the edge of the forgetful mountain star system, Jiang Ci sat cross-legged with a calm expression on his face. Jiang Ci, don't worry and stay here for a while. I'll report this matter to the true monarchs of the Heavenly Court. Immortal Qiao Tu acted on his own initiative, and the Heavenly Court won't sit by and do nothing. Immortal Sun Yun's voice sounded from outside the palace. Thank you, Senior Sun Yun, Jiang Ci said with a smile. He hadn't expected things to develop to this point. He had thought that the 9 Immortal Tao representatives would just go through the motions after True Monarch Guo he finished his questioning. He hadn't expected Immortal Qiao Tu to suddenly jump out. He really didn't know why immortals were balding. This person has a huge grudge against my master, so he's implicating me. Jiang Ci understood this very well. He'd already sent a message to his master, Immortal Winesword, but hadn't received a reply yet. Just as he was thinking about this, he received a message from Immortal Winesword on his communication bead. Chapter 479. Ancient Tao Origin World, 9 Heavens City, Winesword Immortal's Palace. Inside the palace, Winesword Immortal was leisurely drinking wine. Jiang Ci's projection appeared. Greetings, Master. Winesword Immortal smiled as if he wasn't worried at all. He said, it's good that you're fine. Just now, perfected Monarch Guo he came to find me and told me what happened. It seems that the purple jade immortal talisman I gave you back then really came in handy. Winesword Immortal blinked after saying that. Jiang Ci smiled knowingly. Master had indeed helped him fill in the gaps. Winesword Immortal said, this time, I didn't think it through and didn't give you more purple jade immortal talismans. When you return from the Forgotten Mountain Star System, I'll send you a few more. Jiang Ci quickly thanked him. Thank you, Master. Winesword Immortal smiled, but his heart was filled with emotions. Jiang Ci's speed of improvement was beyond his imagination. Especially this time, he actually blocked the assassination of a 3 Tribulation Ghost Immortal and forced him to self-detonate. He only knew that Jiang Ci had obtained the inheritance of the Divine Palace of Kongming, but now it seemed that this disciple of his had many secrets. In fact, he had already prepared a life-saving treasure for Jiang Ci, but Jiang Ci's improvement was too fast. He couldn't bring out the treasures he had prepared, so he could only improve them continuously. That was why he hadn't prepared them yet. When this matter was over, he would have to prepare them again. Jiang Ci asked. At the same time, he told Winesword Immortal about his confrontation with Immortal Qiao Tu. There's something I want to ask Master. Does Immortal Qiao Tu have a grudge against me? It's all in the past. I didn't expect that narrow-minded baldy to still remember it. Winesword Immortal shook his head and said, speaking of which, Qiao Tu made trouble for you this time because of me. Jiang Ci asked, He's just a seventh tribulation transcender. Where did he get the courage to go against Master? Because he has a good father. Wine Sword Immortal shook his head and said disdainfully, this immortal Chiao Tu's aptitude, temperament, and comprehension ability are only above average. If he didn't have a good father, it would be difficult for him to even become an immortal. Who is his father? Jiang Xi asked. True monarch Baoyang, the peerless genius of the last era of Taoism. Compared to Lu Yun, the genius of Swords Gate thousands of years ago, he was even stronger back when he was ascending to immortality. He easily went through 9 tribulations. Then, in less than 10,000 years, he reversed life and death and became a Tao immortal perfected monarch with an endless lifespan. The Wine Sword Immortal sighed and said with a yearning tone. Jiang Xi was shocked. 9 tribulations consecutively and reversing life and death in 10,000 years. This talent was too abnormal. Wine Sword Immortal continued, 70,000 years ago, true monarch Bao Yang suddenly passed down his bloodline on a whim, which is his only bloodline now, Chiao Cha. In order to nurture Chiao Tu, he had exhausted countless resources and treasures. I'm sure you've noticed that Chiao Shuo is bald despite being an immortal. Jiang Xi nodded with a smile. That's because true monarch Bao Yang specially prepared a treasure for Chiao Cha, a treasure that even a perfected monarch would be tempted by, the Wine Sword Immortal said with a smile. A treasure that has side effects. Jiang Xi was enlightened. Yes, hair doesn't grow on the top of the head. The Wine Sword Immortal said, not only that, in order to fully refine this treasure, Chiao Cha had to stay at the limit of each cultivation level and lay down a solid foundation before he could break through. That's so cruel. Jiang Xi was speechless. Just thinking about exhausting one's cultivation level to the limit was torturous. It is indeed cruel, but the benefits are also very obvious. With this treasure, Chiao Cha's life-saving ability is extremely strong. Even a perfected monarch expert would have to put in a lot of effort to kill him. The Wine Sword Immortal shook his head. Then how did Chiao Cha and Master become enemies? Jiang Xi was puzzled. The Wine Sword Immortal had been in the ancient Tao origin world for 50,000 years. If there was any enmity between them, it should have happened 50,000 years ago. It's very simple. The way true monarch Bao Yang raised Chiao Cha made him not only arrogant and domineering, but also a little twisted and perverse. As for me, I'm a handsome immortal who is quite popular with female immortals. He didn't like me and wanted to cause trouble for me. However, I'm even more arrogant than him. Even if his father is true monarch Bao Yang, I'm not afraid. During the myriad immortal assembly in the heavenly court, I beat him up. The Wine Sword Immortal took a sip of wine and was very proud. Jiang Xi, as expected of Master. It's just that jealousy is a little melodramatic. Then what should I do now? Jiang Xi asked. After hearing what Master said, it was obvious that this enmity was very deep. Now that he had fallen into immortal Chiao Cha's hands, it seemed like it would be very difficult for him to get out. With true monarch Bao Yang here, my words won't have any effect. Don't worry, wait for a while. The higher-ups of the sect will definitely step in. Chiao Cha's background is very strong, but if he dares to attack you, he will be crossing the line, the Wine Sword Immortal said with a smile. Moreover, you even pulled out 2 big banners. Although True Monarch Iron Mountain is slightly weaker than True Monarch Bao Yang, True Monarch Iron Mountain is very powerful. Even True Monarch Iron Mountain is not as strong as True Monarch Iron Mountain, but True Monarch 6 Virtuous is an ancient existence. Even True Monarch Bao Yang doesn't dare to be presumptuous when he meets him, so, you can rest assured. He added. Jiang Xi was indeed relieved. This matter was raised to the sect level, it would be easy to handle. Master Wine Sword Immortal's face was definitely not enough. Even if Master and Chiao Cha had no enmity, in front of true monarch Bao Yang, there was still a big gap. Forgotten Mountain Star System, Chiao Cha's palace. I'm so angry. It's fine if Wine Sword Immortal is arrogant in front of me, but his disciple dares to be arrogant in front of me too. After immortal Chiao Cha returned, he no longer suppressed the anger in his heart. His violent aura raged in the 100,000 square kilometer hall. However, He could only be angry now. As for killing Jiang Ci, that was definitely not possible. He was not stupid. Since Jiang Ci was related to True Monarch Iron Mountain and True Monarch 6 Virtuous, he could not touch Jiang Ci anymore. Otherwise, even if his father could save his life, he would not be able to escape punishment. Not far away, Immortal Wu Yi advised, Qiao Cha, it's just a little guy in the primordial soul realm. There is no need to be so angry. There will be plenty of opportunities to deal with him in the future. Wait for the future. H. This time I will lock him up for at least 1,000 years and directly cripple him, Qiao Cha said coldly. Immortal Wu Yi praised with a smile, but secretly scolded him as a good-for-nothing who could not see the situation clearly and was still hesitating, at the same time, in the 6th heaven of the Purple Heaven sect. In a palace with an area of 1,000,000 square kilometers. A figure that seemed to have existed since ancient times, wearing golden armor, sat high on the throne in the hall. Immortal Sun Yun knelt respectfully at the bottom of the hall. Looks like Baoyan's son is really useless. He can't beat Wine Sword Immortal, so he came to find trouble with Wine Sword Immortal's disciple. What a good-for-nothing. The golden figure sneered. His majestic voice echoed in the hall. But he didn't think about who Jiang Ci is. So many higher-ups of Purple Heaven sect have bet on him, and even Dao Monarch has placed a piece. Does he think that he can convict Jiang Ci with just a groundless accusation? What a joke. Immortal Sun Yun was secretly shocked. Although there were some parts that he did not understand, he did not dare to ask. Follow my orders and release Jiang Ci. I was just worried that I would not have a chance to bet. The golden voice finally said. Chapter 480. Wu Yi lamented that he had lost a good opportunity to kill Jiang Ci. He didn't stay in the Forgotten Mountain star system for long. After discussing a few more matters with Qiao Tu, he left quietly. In the empty hall, Qiao Cha was the only one who was sulking. However, he quickly adjusted his mood. If it weren't for the Wine Sword Immortal, he wouldn't have cared about a nascent soul cultivator. In another 20,000 years, I will be able to completely refine the Godfiend skull. At that time, it will be time for me to wash away my shame. The first one is the Wine Sword Immortal. However, that will have to wait until he can live until then. Thinking of this, Qiao Tu sneered. His smile was somewhat twisted. The greatest humiliation he had suffered in his life was being beaten up by the Wine Sword Immortal in front of all the immortals during the Myriad Immortal Assembly of the Heavenly Court 60,000 years ago. Every time he thought of this, the anger in his heart couldn't be quelled for a long time. I'll cripple your disciple first. Consider it as collecting some interest. Qiao Tu's plan was to wait for a while until the number of people paying attention to this matter decreased. Then, he would cripple Jiang Ci. At this time, a guard outside the hall reported that Sun Yun had arrived. You want to plead for mercy? Humph, a 6th tribulation transcender dares to pretend to be a good person in front of me. He thought so in his heart, but he still had to put on an act. He asked the guard to invite Sun Yun in. Sun Yun, don't ask for a snub. Qiao Tu slightly raised his chin. You misunderstood. I'm not here to plead for mercy for Jiang Ci. I'm here to release Jiang Ci. Sun Yun smiled. After saying that, he took out a scroll. This is the decree of True Monarch Duan Kong. Qiao Tu's face immediately turned cold. True Monarch Duan Kong was a high-level member of the Purple Heaven sect. His strength was not weaker than his father's. Good, very good. Qiao Tu muttered in a low voice. The side hall where Jiang Ci was imprisoned was covered by a formation barrier. It was impossible for anyone below the Tribulation Transcender realm to break it. After chatting with his master, the Wine Sword Immortal, Jiang Ci was completely relieved and didn't care about this. He calmed down and carefully sorted out the gains and losses this time. Obviously, the harvest this time was huge. Over 1,000 Tribulation Transcender monster corpses were definitely worth 100 million points. Most importantly, according to Ni Shong's estimation, if he devoured all the immortal energy in these demon corpses, he would be able to refine 1 or 2 more layers of the Heavenly Tower's seal. Refining the first seal of the Heavenly Tower would allow him to unleash a 10,000th of the Heavenly Tower's power. Even if his current cultivation was at the Essence Soul stage, he could still easily smash a 9th Tribulation Transcender to death. What if he managed to refine the 2nd or 3rd level? Jiang Xi's heart was filled with anticipation. If this trump card worked, his future cultivation would be much more stable. Half a day later, there was a commotion outside the hall, and the array barrier disappeared. Jiang Xi knew that he was out of trouble. Sun Yun walked into the side palace and smiled. Jiang Xi, True Monarch Duan Kong has personally given the order to release you. You are now free. True Lord Duan Kong? Jiang Xi asked. That's right. He's one of the leaders of the sect, Sun Yun replied. He didn't understand what Duan Kong meant by betting, but that didn't stop him from completing the bet. As long as the message was delivered, it was fine. Jiang Xi remembered this name and said, Senior Sun Yun, I still have to continue shopping for monster corpses, is that okay? You still haven't finished? Sun Yun was a little surprised. It had been half a month. There are 100 tokens, and I still haven't looked at half of them. Jiang Xi nodded. Okay, I'll take you to choose this time. Sun Yun didn't ask for the reason. That's not appropriate, right? I'll go by myself, there's no need to trouble Senior. Jiang Xi quickly refused. If someone followed him, he definitely couldn't use the Heavenly Tower to absorb the dissipating immortal power. It's okay, it's safer this way. If there's another assassination attempt, all the immortals in the Forgotten Mountain star system will be punished by the Heavenly Court, Sun Yun said with a smile. Jiang Xi couldn't refuse this reason. If he refused again, it would make others suspicious. Thinking about it, Jiang Xi had already gained a lot this time, so he didn't think too much about it. He remained greedy, but he couldn't be captured by greed then. Under the guidance of immortal Sun Yun, he went to the depths of the Forgotten Mountain star system. It took him 3 days to go through the remaining corpses of the 9th Tribulation Great Demons. 1 token represented 10 9th Tribulation Demon corpses, so 100 tokens represented 1,000 corpses. In the end, he chose 100 of the best quality corpses, completed the transaction, and left the Forgotten Mountain star system. Earth, Pak Sn Province, Heavenly Tower District. Although 200 years had passed and the environment on Earth had changed greatly, this district hadn't changed at all. In addition to the fact that it was the place where Earth's legendary powerhouse Jiang Xi grew up, it also benefited from Jiang Dudu's help. After returning home, Jiang Xi's hanging heart finally relaxed. This planet that seemed to be isolated from the rest of the universe was the only place that could give him a sense of security. Unlike other places in the universe, whether it was the ancient Tao origin world, the Tao Alliance Heavenly Court, or the Purple Heaven Sect headquarters, he was always vigilant. Especially after the assassination attempt, his vigilance had become even higher. This also means that I've already entered the assassination list of the various races. I have to be more careful when I go out in the future. In the following days, Jiang Xi cultivated in seclusion at home. He left the demon corpses in the Heavenly Tower and let Ni Shong devour the immortal power to refine the seal. As for himself, he went all out to deduce Dao techniques and strive to break through the current bottlenecks of his 4 Dao techniques. This way, his strength would increase significantly. As for the surveillance missions given by the sect, he would occasionally go to the Pale Blue Planet to deal with them. Most of the work was still left to immortal Liu Chuan. Apart from cultivating, he would spend time with Jiang Dudu to gather with his relatives and friends who were still alive. His days were especially leisurely. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. Late at night, the 2 moons hung in the sky. As usual, Jiang Xi sat cross-legged on the villa's balcony to deduce Dao techniques. Footsteps sounded. Jiang Xi opened his eyes. It was Jiang Dudu walking up with light steps. What's wrong? You've only been in seclusion for a month and a half this time, and you can't sit still anymore? Jiang Xi laughed. No way, I've already broken the record. The last time I was in seclusion, I was only in seclusion for a month and 14 days. This time, I've been in seclusion for an entire day. Jiang Dudu wrinkled her nose, dissatisfied with Jiang Xi's words. In the past few years, because Jiang Xi had been staying on Earth, Jiang Dudu had also chosen to return to Earth to cultivate. She was someone who could not stay idle. She would often go into seclusion for a period of time and drag Jiang Xi out for a stroll. However, her cultivation had not fallen behind. After many deep slumber, she had already reached the perfected nascent soul stage. Where do you want to go this time? The ruins of the Sea clan at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean? Jiang Xi asked with a smile. It's not about going out to play. Jiang Dudu shook her head. I've been feeling like I'm being watched recently. Do you feel the same? When Riverward heard this, his expression immediately became serious. Chapter 481. Spying. What kind of spying? Jiang Xi asked. It's coming from there. Jiang Dudu pointed. Jiang Xi looked in the direction she was pointing and thought, indeed. There were 2 bright moons hanging in the sky like silver plates, as if they had existed for countless years. And the direction Jiang Dudu was pointing at was the second moon. Jiang Xi realized the seriousness of the matter, even though he had already guessed it. Back when he was still receiving the inheritance in the Temple of Kongming, his clone in the first moon completed the spiritual cultivation. At that moment, his clone vaguely felt that someone was watching him. But that feeling disappeared in a flash, as if it was an illusion. Because of that, he even specially conducted a carpet search in the first moon, but in the end, he found nothing. Also, before he obtained the Heavenly Tower, he discovered that the various grotto heavens and secret realms on Earth seemed to have been swept clean by someone, leaving nothing valuable behind. All of these made Jiang Xi suspect that there might be some powerful existence hiding on Earth. Later on, he asked Ni Shong, but the answer he got was no. However, Ni Shong revealed a rare piece of information, which was that the ancient orthodoxes on Earth had left long ago. Since there was no powerful existence on Earth, then there was only one place that could be the second moon, the symbol of the beginning of the Earth's spirit chi revival era. So far, Earth had experienced a total of 5 spirit chi revivals. The 4th time was because the remnant spirit of his master, Daoist Ge, dissipated, and the heaven and earth spirit lock array was unsealed. The other 4 times were all related to the second moon. 200 years ago, he had tried many times to enter it, but in the end, it all ended in failure. Because the second moon seemed to be in another space-time dimension, he could see it but not reach it. He could see it but could not touch it. I don't think I've explored the second moon since I came back this time. Jiang Xi stared at the second moon in the night sky. The Mid-Autumn Festival had just passed, and the 2 moons were especially bright. Combined with the spying feeling Jiang Dudu felt, he felt that something might have happened to the second moon. After thinking about it, he said to Jiang Dudu, I'm going to let my clone go up there to take a look. You protect my main body. Then be careful. Jiang Dudu's expression was very serious. Because an avatar was also a life. Jiang Xi nodded and closed his eyes. He focused all of his consciousness on his clone. At the same time, Jiang Xi's clone on the first moon left the dilapidated moon palace and flew towards the other moon in the starry sky. Although they looked close, the distance between the 2 moons was actually 36,000 kilometers. The doppelganger flew at top speed for 2 minutes, and it was very close to the second moon. Because all of his consciousness was on the clone, Jiang Xi immediately realized that this planet, which seemed to be the same as the first moon, had some changes. It felt more real. The brand new Guanghan Palace seemed to have come alive. The ethereal celestial voice drifted in his ears. He's alive. This thought surfaced in Riverward's mind. He calmed himself down and flew toward the second moon without hesitation. Buzz, an inexplicable fluctuation appeared in the starry sky, as if it had traveled through time and space. Jiang Xi seemed to have fallen into a time vortex. His entire body became absent-minded. His original body on Earth fell into a deep sleep immediately. The clone used the last bit of consciousness to try to stay awake. In a daze, he saw a golden-armored warrior holding a golden scroll appear in the starry sky outside the moon. After the scroll was unfolded, a booming voice resounded through the universe. By the Emperor's decree, the Guanghan Palace shall be built today. All immortals shall congratulate the Guanghan fairy. A female immortal in white stood proudly on the moon. Although her face was blurry, she had a peerless beauty and peerless beauty. A magnificent and magnificent palace suddenly descended. Time and space changed. Tens of thousands of years had passed. Jiang Xi was like a spectator of time and space. He saw that in the starry sky outside the moon, the female immortal in white stood above the Guanghan palace. Behind her, there were 100,000 female immortals in silver armor. They were mighty. The Guanghan lineage requests to fight in the war of conquest. Jiang Xi subconsciously turned his head. He vaguely heard. The Kunlun lineage requests to fight in the war of conquest. The war of conquest. He wanted to listen a little more, but time and space changed again. He saw a path to heaven that looked like a river of stars. It extended out from the starry sky not far away. The mighty army of immortals stepped onto the path to heaven with a determined aura. After some time, only white bones were left on the path to heaven. Everything was silent. At this moment, Jiang Xi's clone finally couldn't hold on any longer and completely fell into a deep sleep. Jiang Xi, go to the Linjiang district project in the afternoon. Hey, didn't you hear what I said? Fuck. I'm giving you a fucking salary. Are you dreaming? I'll give you 10 seconds. If I see you still in your seat, I'll kick you out. Jiang Xi was in a daze as if he hadn't woken up yet. He was kicked out of the company by his boss. The scorching sun in the sky told him that summer was over, but it was still very hot. What kind of hot weather is this? It's too fucking hot. No, I'm already at the Essence Soul stage. Why would I be afraid of the heat? Essence Soul stage? Jiang Xi shuddered and suddenly woke up. He stood at the entrance of the Qingjiang building and looked at the pedestrians on the street, the cars speeding on the road, and the delivery boys racing against time. It was as if he was suddenly pulled back to reality from a dream. So it was a dream. Riverward let out a long sigh. It was very difficult to remember the contents of a dream after waking up. However, this dream was a little long, so he remembered a lot of things. Compared to the dream, his reality was really terrible. He was close to 30 years old, had no house, no car, and naturally no girlfriend. He was a typical product. It wasn't that he didn't have the ability, but that reality was too cruel. As a business elite of the company, he still had some savings. However, without the help of his parents, it would probably take him at least 10 years of hard work to get a house in this kind of new first-tier city. The premise was that the speed at which he earned money far exceeded the speed at which the housing prices rose. Of course, if he accepted his fate, he could still survive in the small city in his hometown. However, Jiang Xi didn't want to accept his fate. The busy work and life made him quickly forget all the contents of the dream. Every day, he went to work at 2 o'clock and 1 o'clock. When he was resting, he would watch movies, read novels, and play games. Or, he would go to a food stall with a few of his best friends. Only when he woke up in the middle of the night would he occasionally remember the contents of the dream. He only remembered a few key words: Jiang Dudu, Shen Tian, Li Bai Bai, Liquor Sword Immortal, Daoist Ge, Purple Heaven Sect. Who are these people? Who am I? Jiang Xi's eyes were full of confusion. He really couldn't remember. He had almost forgotten. Chapter 482. A month passed in the blink of an eye. That day, a lady from the company stopped Jiang Xi after work. Jiang Xi, tomorrow is the Mid-Autumn Festival holiday. Do you want to go out for a meal? The lady was very shy. What meal? I still have to play games. I'm not going. Jiang Xi said righteously. The lady walked away fiercely. Jiang Xi held his head and felt a headache. He wanted to say yes, but there was a voice in his head vaguely telling him that he was not allowed to hook up with vixens. He looked up at the desk calendar on his desk. September 20th, 2021, the 14th day of the 8th lunar month. Tomorrow was really the Mid-Autumn Festival. The next day, Jiang Xi and a few of his best friends made an appointment to climb mountains, have a picnic, and admire the moon. When they were climbing the mountain, Jiang Xi's performance shocked all of his best friends. Jiang Xi, when did your stamina become so good? You used to be out of breath when climbing a building. You're simply inhuman. It's such a tall mountain, but you didn't even sweat. Hurry up, I'll let you carry everything. Jiang Xi laughed and scolded them for being weaklings. Then, he took the ingredients and utensils for the picnic and walked up the mountain without blushing or gasping for breath. In fact, he was also puzzled. When did his body become so strong? Although he usually trained, he shouldn't be this strong. This mountain of more than 2,000 meters was like flat ground to him now. At the top of the mountain, the work of the picnic was naturally left to Jiang Xi, who had the best stamina. I'm a big shot at the primordial soul stage, and I still have to serve you small fries. Jiang Xi subconsciously complained. He didn't notice that his words were different. His best friends who were as tired as a pile of mud only thought that Jiang Xi was talking nonsense. After 3 rounds of wine, everyone was intoxicated and tipsy. Soon, the moon came out. Hey, did I drink too much? Why are there 2 moons in the sky? Someone mumbled in surprise. Looks like you really drank too much. I think there are 4 moons. Someone agreed. The few of them chatted and laughed, and didn't feel anything unusual. Only Jiang Xi looked up at the sky in a daze. The 2 bright stars were like silver plates hanging quietly in the night sky. At this moment, he woke up. Everything was clear now. So this was a dream. A bunch of idiots. Jiang Xi looked at his friends with a complicated expression. This should be a dream created from his memories before his rebirth. Everything he was experiencing now should be fake. Goodbye, brothers, Jiang Xi said softly. He didn't say goodbye before his rebirth, but now he did. The discussion among his buddies stopped abruptly. They looked at Jiang Xi blankly. A gentle breeze blew past, time stood still, and everything gradually became blurry. Time and space changed again, and 200 years passed. Jiang Xi became a spectator of time and space once again. This time, it was a slum world. A skinny and short little girl was stumbling as she ran. Her tattered clothes couldn't hide the footprints and bruises on her body. Although the group of homeless children had snatched half a steamed bun, they didn't expect her to hide the other half. She came to the basement of a ruined building. A weak young man was lying on a tattered quilt in the corner. Brother, eat quickly. You'll be better after eating. The little girl held half a steamed bun with both hands and handed it to the young man. Seeing the young man eat the steamed bun, the little girl's dirty face revealed the brightest smile. In the days that followed, when the young man's illness was completely cured, the situation of the 2 finally changed. The young man was different from those homeless children. He had a clear goal in life and knew how to change himself. Time passed. The 2 first took off their homeless clothes, then set up a stall to earn money, rent a house, study, go to school. From the bottom of the new society, they struggled all the way up. Jiang Xi watched everything from the side. He didn't understand why this time vortex would trace back to him from the ancient era. After an unknown period of time, the scene in front of him shattered like a mirror. Everything disappeared into thin air. At this moment, he was on a bluestone in the starry sky. Below him was the brand new Guanghan Palace. Further below, there was the second moon. However, these weren't Jiang Xi's focus. Because in front of him, there was a burly old man in coarse clothes sitting cross-legged. The old man's white hair was messy, and his face was rough. He gave off a barbaric feeling. Or it could be said that the old man was the definition of the word barbaric. Jiang Xi didn't sense any powerful aura, but his intuition told him that the old man was a peerless beast that seemed to be able to devour everything. You're here. The old man grinned. Senior knows me. Jiang Xi didn't let down his guard. My name is Qing Shi. I don't know you, but you know me. The old man said. This specious sentence left Jiang Xi scratching his head in confusion. You should have a lot of questions. I can give you 4 chances to ask. The bluestone old man smiled. Jiang Xi thought for a moment and said, First question. What I experienced just now, did Senior do it? I just started it. Everything that followed was made up by your memory, the bluestone old man said. Jiang Xi thought for a moment and asked, second question. Senior, are you from Earth? Yes and no. I come from the Mountain Sea realm, which later became the Mountain Sea Star. Mountain Sea realm? Mountain Sea Star? Just remember these two names. Knowing too much won't do you any good. Oh. Then the unanswered questions don't count, right? Haha, it's been a long time since someone dared to bargain with me. If you don't want to count, then so be it. Jiang Xi nodded. Third question. Is the recovery of Earth's spiritual energy controlled by Senior? No, I'm just an executor. The Bluestone old man shook his head. Executor? Jiang Xi was really shocked this time. Bluestone didn't have the aura of a tribulation transcender. In other words, Bluestone was at least a perfected lord. No, he was most likely a Tao lord. This was because a long time ago, when Daoist Ge was trapped in the first moon. In order to find the lost Purple Heaven Sword manual, the Purple Heaven sect had searched the starry sky where the solar system was located, but in the end, they found nothing. Now, it seemed that the main reason why Earth hadn't been discovered by the Purple Heaven sect was because of the Bluestone old man. If a Tao lord had participated in the search at that time, then only a Tao lord would have been able to avoid being found. And the Bluestone old man said that he was just an executor. Then, was there someone more powerful behind him? A heavenly venerable? Jiang Xi was shocked. There were heavenly venerables on Earth. One had to know that in the entire human race of the universe, there was only one heavenly venerable in the Daoist sect. You have one more question. The Bluestone old man chuckled. Jiang Xi took a deep breath. He really wanted to ask about Bluestone's cultivation and whether there were heavenly venerables on Earth. But he held back in the end. This was because a thought popped up in his mind, and he blurted out, last question. What is the relationship between the 3 sects and 6 sects of the Tao Alliance and Earth? Chapter 483. After saying this, Riverward suddenly realized that he had neglected such an important question for so long. The Tao Alliance consisted of the Daoist sect, the Buddhist sect, the Sword sect, the Purple Heaven sect, and the Moon sect. There were too many similarities between these 9 immortal Tao sects and the legends of Earth. Why had he never thought of going there to investigate? No, he had definitely thought of this before, but why had he forgotten? This feeling was as if someone had erased his memories. Do you find it strange? The boorish-looking Bluestone elder had a half-smile on his face. He had seen through Jiang Xi's thoughts. Was it Senior's doing? Jiang Xi asked. It's not within the scope of the answer, so I don't know. The Bluestone elder shook his head. Jiang Xi. Then Senior, please answer the 4th question. The Bluestone elder smiled. You can think of Earth as the Tao Alliance's ancestral land, a forgotten place. That's it. That's it. Jiang Xi felt as if he had wasted a precious opportunity to ask questions. He could also think of what the Bluestone elder had said. Anyone with a brain would be able to guess this conclusion. The conclusion you guessed is the same as what I told you, but the meaning is different. The Bluestone elder said. Jiang Xi nodded. That was true. A definite answer would definitely have a different impact on him in the future compared to a vague answer. The questions are over. I have something to remind you of. The Bluestone elder suddenly said solemnly. Senior, please speak. Jiang Xi remained respectful. In the near future, Earth will face a crisis. You must be mentally prepared. The Bluestone elder's words were shocking. What crisis? Even Senior can't stop it. Jiang Xi was frightened. How big of a crisis was that? I'm leaving. The Bluestone elder said. What he meant was that he could stop it, but he didn't want to. Senior, is it okay if you leave later? Jiang Xi asked. You have to face this crisis alone. The Bluestone elder shook his head. Don't worry, it's not a big problem. Jiang Xi nodded slightly, but he still felt a little uneasy. There's one more thing. I want to take Jiang Dudu away. If she stays here, there will be trouble. The Bluestone old man's words shocked Jiang Xi once again. Why? Dudu is only at the nascent soul stage. The Bluestone old man remained silent. Jiang Ci was helpless. This big shot was really tight-lipped. However, he could also guess a thing or two. Every time the spirit qi on Earth recovered, Jiang Dudu would inexplicably fall into a deep sleep, and then her cultivation would be greatly improved. It was obvious that Jiang Dudu was hiding a lot of secrets. Since Old Man Bluestone proposed to take away Jiang Dudu, there must be a reason. Besides, even if he wanted to stop them, he couldn't. After thinking about it, Jiang Ci said, "Then where can I find you in the future?" The Bluestone old man stretched out his hand as if creating something out of thin air. Blue gravel flowed in his hand, and soon a Bluestone token was condensed. "No matter where you are, you can contact me through this token. If I'm in a good mood, I'll send you a message," the Bluestone old man said with a smile. Jiang Ci took the token with great joy. As for the Bluestone old man's words, he didn't take it to heart at all. It was fine as long as he could contact him. This was a big backer. He scanned the Bluestone token with his spiritual sense and was surprised to find that there was no mark of the Eye of Ascension. Could it be that this method of communication was not through the Eye of Ascension? Before he could ask, Old Man Bluestone waved his sleeve, and Jiang Dudu's figure appeared out of thin air. Jiang Dudu was a little confused. She was still on Earth a moment ago, guarding Jiang Ci's original body, who had fallen into a deep sleep. The next moment, space changed, and they arrived at the second moon. Jiang Dudu's gaze locked onto Jiang Ci first. "It's like this." Jiang Ci coughed and briefly explained the situation. "I'm not leaving." Jiang Dudu looked at the Bluestone old man warily. Old Man Bluestone opened his mouth and smiled at her. Jiang Dudu just sneered. "Listen to me. Haven't you always wanted to surpass me? If you cultivate with this senior, you'll have a chance to surpass me," Jiang Ci persuaded. "Jiang Ci, are you selling me out?" Jiang Dudu's face was sullen, and she was very unhappy. "How is that possible?" Jiang Ci explained in detail, stating the pros and cons. After listening to him, Jiang Dudu fell into a short silence. She was no longer willful. She knew her own situation. If what Old Man Bluestone said was true, and Earth was in danger, she would only be a burden to Jiang Ci if she stayed. She was not as strong as Jiang Ci. "Then you must be careful," Jiang Dudu said seriously. "Don't worry, Senior Bluestone said it's not a big problem. Besides, don't you know me?" Jiang Ci smiled. "You just have to follow Senior and cultivate well." River Word exhorted in the end. Jiang Dudu nodded. Old Man Bluestone did not say anything else. Waves appeared in the starry sky. Suddenly, space changed. Jiang Ci felt his vision blur, and Jiang Dudu and Old Man Bluestone in front of him disappeared. What disappeared was the brand new moon palace and the second moon. In the nearby starry sky, only the first moon 36 kilometers away was left. This change was unexpected. Old Man Bluestone did not tell him that the second moon would disappear as well. Earth is going to be lively now. The scene of two moons hanging in the sky had existed for more than 300 years. Now that it had suddenly disappeared, it was definitely big news to the humans living on Earth. Then, Jiang Ci hid his clone in the broken moon palace of the first moon and his consciousness returned to his original body. After waking up, his spiritual awareness covered the entire world. Indeed, the whole world was in chaos. Everyone was discussing why the second moon had disappeared. The higher-ups of the Great Sheer Alliance were also taking emergency measures. A small number of cultivators who had reached the nascent soul stage were preparing to go to the starry sky to investigate. Jiang Ci thought for a while and sent a message to the higher-ups of the Great Sheer Alliance, asking them to calm down. With his strength and status, he easily calmed down this storm. Some people who knew him came to his house to ask him about the inside story. Of course, Jiang Ci would not divulge any information to them. For more than 200 years, under Jiang Dudu's secret control, the entire Earth had been in a state of isolation. There was no contact with the outside world therefore, some cultivators who had reached the nascent soul stage still did not know about the Universal Tao Alliance. In recent years, there were people who went to the first moon to investigate, but no one found the ancient interstellar teleportation formation. This was because Jiang Ci had set up a formation barrier there a long time ago. If one's cultivation level was not higher than his, they would definitely not be able to detect the existence of the formation barrier. After forcibly calming down the storm caused by the disappearance of the second moon, Jiang Ci did not relax and continued to work hard on his cultivation. Old Man Bluestone did not give me an exact time. I have to start preparing now. Chapter 484. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. The order on Earth had basically returned to normal. Due to the deliberate control of public opinion by the Great Sheer Alliance, the storm of the disappearance of the second moon had completely subsided. At first, everyone was very alarmed that a moon was missing from the sky. However, as time passed, many people realized that it did not matter if it was missing. It did not have any special effect. At most, they would talk about it during their leisure time. In this incident, although Jiang Ci played a leading role, he did not choose to appear in front of the public. Therefore, there were still very few people who knew that he had returned. Jiang Ci was like a hermit, cultivating in seclusion every day. On this day, as usual, he was deducing Dao techniques at home. Suddenly, a notification from the experience panel sounded in his mind. Deduction successful. You have comprehended sword intent. Experience points plus 200 million. The pleasant notification made Jiang Ci ecstatic. He finally succeeded. He had comprehended the sword Dao during his first year in the ancient Dao source realm. Calculating the time, it had been more than 130 years since then. This speed could only be considered normal for a core disciple of the Purple Heaven sect. However, with the help of the EXP panel, this speed was too slow. Logically speaking, he should have broken through in at most 10 years. Jiang Ci was very clear about the reason for all this. It was because he was walking on too many paths at the same time: Sword Dao, Departing Fire, Gale, and Vajra, 4 Dao techniques. Dao techniques reinforced and restrained each other, and would interfere with each other. This was a principle that all cultivators of Dao techniques understood. The difficulty of advancing on 4 paths at the same time was at least 100 times that of advancing on a single Dao technique. This was also the main reason why Jiang Ci had not comprehended any new Dao techniques. Back then, the 5-colored palm that he had obtained in the Battle Pattern continent was left behind by the legendary 5 elements Battle Emperor, Dao Lord, of the Battle Pattern continent. It contained all the 5 elements Dao techniques. He had already comprehended the Fire Elemental Dao technique, Departing Fire, and the Metal Elemental Dao technique, Vajra. He could use the 5-colored palm to continue comprehending the remaining 3 5 elements Dao techniques. However, he did not do so. If he walked on 3 more paths, the difficulty of advancing would probably increase by 1,000 times. Perhaps he would have to wait another 1,000 years for a breakthrough in sword intent. After 1,000 years, the genius disciples in the same batch as him would probably have already left him in the dust. The difficulty of the 4 paths I'm on now is just right. The increase in strength is also very obvious. Jiang Ci knew how to choose. These 4 Daoist techniques played an important role in his ability to possess combat strength comparable to that of a late-stage Dao integration stage cultivator. Whether it was the Dao fusion art that he created himself, the Dao pattern art, or the Dao seal art that he created later on, it was all because of the enhancement from the 4 Dao arts that he was able to unleash such great power. Now, I've made a breakthrough in sword principle. When Gale, Departing Fire, and Vajra all make breakthroughs, my strength will undergo an earth-shaking change. The 3 secret techniques, Dao Fusion Technique, Dao Pattern Technique, and Dao Seal Technique all emphasized balance. All 4 Daoist techniques had to be at the same level in order to reach a higher level. Therefore, the breakthrough in Sword Dao was only a prelude. He opened the experience panel to check some of the changes. Dao Technique, Sword Intent, None 11 billion, Amplitude, 2,000 times, Sword Intent, 1 billion experience points is still acceptable. When the realm of Sword Intent increases, the amplitude of my spiritual power will also increase greatly. Jiang Ci speculated that after the realm of Sword Intent reached perfection, his spiritual power amplitude would reach 20,000 times. The Tao fusion art could increase his spiritual power amplitude by another 4 times. However, due to the imbalance in the realms of the 4 Daoist techniques, the Tao fusion art could not be used for the time being. However, 20,000 times of spiritual power amplitude was already more than 2 times higher than the 8,000 times of spiritual power amplitude when he used the Tao fusion art previously. In a numerical sense, it was more than 2 times higher. In terms of actual combat strength, it was more than 2 times higher. I should be able to reach the level of Lone Star. I'm definitely still very far from the first Tribulation Transcender level. Jiang Ci thought to himself previously, during the Cloud Summit competition, Lone Star had crushed everyone and killed him with just 3 slashes. Even so, Lone Star's combat strength had not reached the first Tribulation Transcender level. Otherwise, he would not have died in the Hell level mission. Currently, my greatest trump card is still the Heavenly Building. In the past 6 months, Ni Shong had been devouring the immortal energy of the Tribulation Transcender monsters' corpses, striving to refine the first seal of the Heavenly Building. However, the progress was very slow. After all, it was an origin treasure. It's hard to meet a Tribulation Transcender opponent now, so there's no need for the Heavenly Building. In the following time, Jiang Ci began to focus on deducing the paths of Gale, Li Fire, and Vaja. His clone was in charge of refining the spiritual fruits and increasing the level of his sword intent. It was worth mentioning that half a year ago, after being reminded by Old Man Qingshe, he left the Heavenly Building. His avatar left the solar system and hid in a remote life planet in the Milky Way. This was his last life-saving method. 3 months later, Pale Blue Star region, in a desolate galaxy. Waves appeared in the dark starry sky like the surface of water. A supreme-grade spirit artifact green flying ship shuttled out and then shuttled into the source space again. In the starry sky tens of thousands of kilometers away, 3 black flying ships appeared and did the same. This was an interstellar chase. In the green flying ship in front, 2 female cultivators anxiously controlled the flying ship, constantly shuttling back and forth. One of them was petite, while the other was like a big sister next door, gentle and dignified. Although anxious, she still maintained her calm. Big sister what should we do? It'll take us another day and a half to reach the nearest life planet, the petite female cultivator couldn't help but ask. Wen Yuxian was silent. According to the difference in speed between the 2 sides, the 3 black flying ships behind them would catch up with them in about half a day. Death tribulation. In fact, she was already very lucky to be able to survive until now. 3 days ago, she led the Mountain Sea Star Trade's patrol team to a random life planet to inspect the business of the Mountain Sea Star Trade, but she didn't expect to be ambushed on that planet. Those people didn't kill them at first, just took away their communication beads and flying ships, and put them under house arrest. This also gave her a chance. She took advantage of the opportunity to escape with the supreme-grade spirit artifact she had hidden. That was how the interstellar chase came to be. Lil P said before that the Mountain Sea Star Trade only took 200 years to reach this scale. Extensive development will definitely lead to all kinds of problems, but the problem this time is too big. Wen Yuxian's heart was full of bitterness. I hope Lil P can discover this problem in time. No, if I die this time, she will definitely discover this problem. Wen Yuxian's eyes became resolute. Jiang Dudu had her life slip. If she died and the life slip shattered, it would attract Jiang Dudu's attention even if there was no message. At this time, in the starry sky behind them, another flying ship emitting immortal aura appeared. An immortal artifact flying ship. At the same time, a powerful spiritual sense pressure directly imprisoned Wen Yuxian. Tao integration. Wen Yuxian's expression changed drastically. Chapter 485. The headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star Trade was located in Anlan City on planet Dongyuan in the Milky Way system. 200 years ago, Jiang Ci had become a core disciple of the Third Sky of the Purple Heaven sect through the 9 Regions Genius Battle. As a reward, the Tsungyun sect, which ruled the entire Kanglan Star region, transferred the ownership of the Milky Way system to Jiang Ci. From then on, the entire Milky Way system, which had more than 40,000 planets with life, became Jiang Ci's private territory. Since it was her own territory, Jiang Dudu made the decision to move the headquarters of the Mountain Sea Star trade to planet Dongyuan, the core planet of the Milky Way system. One day, when Jiang Ci received the news that Wen Yushin and the patrol team had gone missing, he realized the seriousness of the matter and immediately rushed to planet Dongyuan from Earth. Wen Yushin was the second most important person in the Mountain Sea Star trade. Her disappearance had a great impact on the Mountain Sea Star trade and could easily cause unrest. Besides, Jiang Dudu had been taken away by the old man with bluestone. In this way, the Mountain Sea Star trade was almost leaderless. With only Wen Feng and Shen Wanxi left, it was difficult to control the entire Mountain Sea Star trade. After all, the scale of the Mountain Sea Star trade was now very large. Especially after Jiang Ci became a core disciple of the Purple Heaven sect, the Mountain Sea Star trade had embarked on a rapid development path. In the entire Kanglan Star region, the Mountain Sea Star trade was ranked second in terms of interstellar trade after the Tsungyun sect's Tsungyun Star trade. According to the overall value, the Mountain Sea Star trade was worth more than 100 million premium spirit crystals. In terms of points, it was 1 million points. For so many years, every time Jiang Ci leveled up, his doppelganger had to refine a large number of spiritual fruits to increase the experience points on the experience points panel. These spiritual fruits did not appear out of thin air. They were all purchased with the funds provided by the Mountain Sea Star trade. It could be said that without the financial support of the Mountain Sea Star trade, the speed of his strength improvement would be at least 40% slower. Moreover, for Jiang Ci, the Mountain Sea Star trade was not only an important asset, but also his and Jiang Dudu's hard work. Jiang Dudu had devoted a lot of effort and energy to the development of the Mountain Sea Star trade for more than 200 years. Hence, Jiang Ci would not allow anything to happen to Mountain Sea Star. Anyone who dared to touch the Mountain Sea Star trade would be cutting off his flesh and drinking his blood. Of course, as Wen Yoshin's senior granduncle, he had to fulfill the responsibility and obligation of an elder to bring Wen Yushin back safely. Through the First Moon's interstellar teleportation array, they were directly transported to planet Dongyuan. After arriving at the Mountain Sea Star trade headquarters, Wen Feng and Shen Wanxi were already waiting. The two of them were unable to contact Jiang Dudu, so they could only contact Jiang Ci. Marshal Granduncle. Wen Feng's face was filled with worry. Jiang Ge. Shen Wanxi let out a sigh of relief because he had found his pillar of support. Tell me the details. Jiang Ci didn't waste any time. Yes, Sister has been patrolling the business of the Mountain and Sea Star trade in the various life planets in recent years. In order to ensure the suddenness and accuracy of the patrol, she randomly chose a star system every time. 3 days ago, she went out with a patrol team like before. Not long after, all of them disappeared. Wen Feng's expression was very ugly. I've asked the relatives of all the patrolmen and found that some of their life slips have shattered, Shen Wanxi added. Where's Yoshin's life slip? Jiang Ci asked. Sister is still alive. This is the location of her last message. Wen Feng took out his astrolabe and summoned a star map phantom, marking the approximate area. Shirouzhou star system. After Jiang Ci saw the location, he immediately took out his communication pearl and sent a message to immortal Liu Chuan, who was guarding the supervision department for him. As the elder of the supervision department of the Purple Heaven sect's Blue Branch, he was in charge of supervising the various affairs of the Purple Heaven sect in the Blue Planet. With the connections and power of the supervision department, he could quickly gather information on what had happened in the Shirouzhou star system in the past few days. A moment later, Liu Chuan took a teleportation array and personally rushed to planet Dongyuan. When Wen Feng and Shen Wanxi found out that Liu Chuan was a third tribulation transcender, they were shocked. This was the first time they had seen an immortal. Then, they saw Liu Chuan respectfully bow to Jiang Ci. The two of them looked at each other and saw hope. Sir, all the members of the supervision department in the Shirouzhou star system have been dispersed. With our surveillance network, we will be able to gather accurate information in half a day at most, Liu Chuan said respectfully. He was originally a subordinate of the military minister, Chen Hu, but because he had offended a sixth tribulation transcender of the Purple Heaven sect, he had been suppressed. After Jiang Xi returned to the Blue Planet and became the elder of the Supervision Department of the Purple Heaven Sect's Blue Branch, he had helped him solve this problem. Although Chen Hu's request also played a part in it, Jiang Xi had recognized his worth and recognized his worth. This was something that could be confirmed. As a third tribulation transcender, Liu Chuan did not forget Jiang Xi's kindness. Not only did he help Jiang Xi take care of the entire Supervision Department's affairs, but he also helped him. This time, when he received Jiang Xi's message, he immediately rushed over. This also showed his attitude. Half a day. It's about time. Jiang Xi nodded slightly and waited for the news calmly. He was unlike Wen Feng and Shen Wanzi, whose anxiety was written all over their faces. Half a day later, Liu Chuan received a message and said, "Sir, it has been confirmed that when Yushin once appeared on planet Kulu of the Shirozhou star system." Jiang Xi stood up and said to Wen Feng and Shen Wanzi, "I will personally make a trip to planet Kulu. You guys guard the mountain sea star trade well." Wen Feng could not help but say, "Uncle Granduncle, you must save my sister." "Jiang Ji, I will wait for your good news," Shen Wanzi said. "Don't worry." Jiang Xi smiled. Then, he and Liu Chuan left planet Dongyuan through the interstellar teleportation array. Shirozhou star system, planet Kulu, in the hall of the Supervision Department's manor. Jiang Xi sat at the top of the hall. Liu Chuan stood beside him like a guard. Below him was the person in charge of the monitoring station, a nascent soul cultivator. He said, "Sirs, just now, we received feedback from our network on planet Kulu. 3 days ago, when Yushin and the other 10 people from the Mountain Sea Star trade did come to planet Kulu, but they quickly left on a flying ship. Is there anything unusual about the Mountain Sea Star trade branch here?" Jiang Xi asked in a deep voice. The person in charge hesitated for a moment before saying, "There's nothing unusual. It's the same as before." "Ph, it's abnormal if there's nothing unusual." Jiang Xi sneered and said, "Send someone to capture all the staff of the Mountain Sea Star trade branch." The person in charge hurriedly took his leave and led his subordinates to capture the staff. Liu Chuan watched from the side and nodded slightly because there was nothing wrong with Jiang Xi's judgment. The second-in-command of the Mountain Sea Star trade had disappeared not long after leaving planet Kulu. However, the Mountain Sea Star trade branch did not panic at all. Everything was normal. On the surface, this was professionalism and worthy of praise. The truth was that they might be hiding something. It was suspicious. Chapter 486. Soon, the thousands of staff members of the Mountain Sea Planet branch were forcefully brought in front of Jiang Xi. The person in charge of the branch was a golden-haired young man who looked very tough. His cultivation was at the late stage of the nascent soul realm. There were also 7 cultivators at the middle and early stage of the nascent soul realm. The remaining 1,000 or so staff members were all at the golden core realm. Although planet Kalu was not the core planet of the Shirozhou star system, its overall development level was not much worse. Therefore, the Mountain Sea Star trade had set up a relatively large branch here. Jiang Xi looked at everyone expressionlessly. Basically, everyone was a little flustered because just now, a group of fully armed soldiers had rushed into their office and brought them here. They did not know what had happened, nor did they know Jiang Xi. Only the golden-haired young man at the late stage of the nascent soul realm was slightly calm. He knew Jiang Xi's identity. "Subordinate greets Lord Jiang Xi." He bowed respectfully. His blonde hair was very elegant, and it was obvious that he was a very good person. The person in charge took the lead, and the staff members below also hurriedly bowed. However, it was very messy and not orderly. Jiang Xi did not care and did not say anything. He directly said to Liu Chuan, "Don't waste time. Use your bewitching technique and interrogate everyone." As soon as these words came out, some people were confused, some people's expressions changed slightly, and some people became even more flustered. They began to discuss in low voices. Liu Chuan's face was stern as he spread out his spiritual sense. Among the 1,000 or so people with different expressions, the highest cultivation level was only at the late stage of the nascent soul realm. How could they resist the bewitching technique of a three-tribulation transcender? Immediately, the hall fell silent, and everyone fell into a daze. The following interrogation was very simple. 2 questions. Do you know when Yushin? Do you know her whereabouts? Under the bewitching state, no one lied. Either you know her or you don't. Either you know her or you don't. Only one person's answer was different. The golden-haired young man said with a dull expression, when Yushin was brought to planet Kalu by White Feather Star Trade. How do you know? Jiang Xi asked. Because I'm from White Feather Star Trade. I was sent to Mountain Sea Star Trade as a spy. Upon hearing this, Jiang Xi sneered. It was just as he had expected. Is there a planet called Karo in the Shorozhou galaxy? He asked Chu Kuan, the person in charge of the station. There are more than 30,000 life-bearing planets in the Shorozhou star system. I know all of them by heart. There is no Karo star. Chu Kuan shook his head. He thought for a moment before saying, it might be a barren planet that hasn't been registered in the Tao Alliance's heavenly court. Then have you heard of White Feather Star Trade? Jiang Xi asked again. Chu Kuan pondered for a long time before replying, no, it should be an unknown interstellar trading group. Jiang Xi nodded and said to Liu Chuan, remove their bewitching spell. Liu Chuan followed his instructions. More than 1,000 people instantly came to their senses, but many of them were still in a daze. However, the golden-haired young man's expression changed drastically. He still remembered what he had said when he was in a trance. Spare my life, my lord. I was also forced. The golden-haired young man knelt on the ground with a pale face. Jiang Xi did not say a word. He only stretched out his hand and beckoned. Spiritual power surged. The late-stage nascent soul realm golden-haired young man uncontrollably arrived in front of Jiang Xi. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. He could only beg for mercy. He no longer had his previous carefree appearance. However, how could Jiang Xi spare such a traitor? He really wanted to know who was so bold as to poach him and touch his business. He pressed his palm on the golden-haired young man's head. Soul search. It was the most efficient interrogation method. After 3 to 4 breaths, the golden-haired young man lost his breath. The 1,000 people all knelt on the ground, trembling in fear. They were afraid that Jiang Xi would also search their souls. Jiang Xi did not continue searching their souls. Instead, he waved his hand and summoned a wisp of sword light. Swoosh swoosh swoosh, before the remaining 7 nascent soul cultivators of the Mountain Sea Star Trade branch could react, the sword light pierced through their heads and killed them. Because of the soul search just now, he learned that these 7 people were also spies of the White Feather Star Trade. Jiang Xi was so angry that he almost laughed. What was the origin of this White Feather Star Trade? Didn't they know that the Mountain Sea Star Trade was his business? At the same time, Jiang Xi's heart was filled with anger. It was not only because the White Feather Star Trade was so unscrupulous in poaching his people. There was another important reason. He learned through the soul search that the White Feather Star Trade was an illegal interstellar trading group that specialized in selling the gold core and nascent soul of cultivators. This was an industry that was even crueler than the slave trade. The slaves could still survive. The business of selling gold core and nascent soul first needed to cultivate the cultivator to this cultivation level, then kill them and take away their gold core or nascent soul. Or directly kill those cultivators in the gold core stage and nascent soul stage, take their gold core and nascent soul, preserve them with a special method, and sell them to those in need. This was an extremely profitable black industry, especially when they hunted gold core stage and nascent soul stage cultivators with outstanding talent. Their gold core and nascent soul stage cultivators were even more expensive. There were countless humans in the 9 realms of the Tao Alliance. There was no lack of young cultivators who were born noble, rich, and powerful, but had poor talent. Under such circumstances, they could spend a lot of money to buy the gold core and nascent soul of those cultivators with outstanding talent. Then, through a secret technique, they could refine the gold core and nascent soul that they bought into their own. While changing their talent, they could also directly become a nascent soul stage cultivator. This kind of person deserves to die, and this kind of power deserves to die too. Jiang Xi did not want to be a saint. He did not have the time to care. There were many tall cultivators, and he was not a tall cultivator. The problem now was that this so-called white feather star trade actually dared to use the channels of the mountain sea star trade to do this kind of black business. The golden-haired youth and his group were undercover and controlled the entire mountain sea star trade branch of the Kalu planet. Their goal was to use the channels of the mountain sea star trade to buy and sell the gold core and nascent soul of cultivators for the white feather star trade. Jiang Xi could not tolerate this. Beside him, when Liu Chuan also learned about this, his expression changed. Selling the gold core and nascent soul of cultivators? Sir, this is a trade activity prohibited by the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court. Moreover, this happens to be the responsibility of the Ministry of Supervision. Jiang Xi was expressionless. He first waved his hand to set up a barrier that isolated spiritual sense. Then, he asked in a deep voice, "Is it related to the Ministry of Commerce?" "I'm not sure. Should we mobilize the Ministry of Supervision's army?" Liu Chuan's tone was uncertain. "The two of us are enough." Jiang Xi shook his head. The Ministry of Supervision also had an army of about 10,000 nascent soul cultivators. However, he did not believe these people now. If the white feather star trade was really related to the Ministry of Commerce, as long as he mobilized the Ministry of Supervision's army, it would definitely attract the attention of the Ministry of Commerce. There were not many factions that dared to have designs on the mountain sea star trade in the Blue Star region. The Ministry of Commerce of the Purple Heaven Sect's Blue Star region was in charge of all the Purple Heaven Sect's commercial activities in the Blue Star region. It just so happened that it had the capital to do so. Of course, this was only Jiang Xi's speculation. He could not be completely sure that it was the doing of the Ministry of Commerce. "Erase these people's memories," Jiang Xi said again. Liu Chuan nodded. He understood Jiang Xi's intention. It was to prevent the news from being leaked. Chapter 487. Planet Carlo was the headquarters of White Feather Star Trade. This was indeed a desolate planet that had never been registered in the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court. There were no interstellar teleportation arrays either, so they could only go there via flying ship. Jiang Xi and Liu Chuan arrived at Planet Carlo's outer space. "Your Excellency, use my flying ship." Liu Chuan waved his hand and took out a black flying ship that emitted an immortal aura. An immortal artifact flying ship. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. "You must be joking, Your Excellency. It's only an inferior grade immortal artifact. With Your Excellency's status, it's very easy for you to buy such a flying ship," Liu Chuan said with a smile. "How fast can it reach?" Jiang Xi asked. "It can reach up to 10 times the speed of light," Liu Chuan said as he formed a seal to activate the flying ship. Jiang Xi nodded slightly. He usually used interstellar teleportation arrays to travel and rarely used flying ships, so he had never thought of upgrading them. The flying ship he was using was still a supreme-grade spirit artifact. Its maximum speed was 3 times the speed of light. Compared to Liu Chuan's immortal artifact flying ship, there was a difference. It was very difficult to increase speed. Although there was only a difference of 3 times the speed of light and 10 times the speed of light, when it came to interstellar travel, the difference was like heaven and earth. This was because when an object's speed reached the speed of light, it would enter the source space. The distance ratio between the source space and the primal universe was 1:3600. In other words, flying 1 light-year in the source space was equivalent to crossing 3,600 light-years in the primal universe. Based on a year's time, flying 3 light-years in the source space at 3 times the speed of light was 10,800 light-years in the primal universe. Flying 10 light-years in the source space at 10 times the speed of light was 36,000 light-years in the primal universe. Therefore, the difference between these two speeds wasn't as simple as 10-3, which was equivalent to 7 light-years. Instead, it was a difference of 25,200 light-years. I should get one if I have the time. After all, not every planet has an interstellar teleportation array. Whether it's traveling or escaping, speed is very important. Jiang Xi temporarily remembered this thought. With this thought in mind, Liu Chuan activated the flying ship and entered the source space. The distance between Planet Carlo and Planet Carlo was more than 30 light-years. Traveling through the source space at 10 times the speed of light would only take a little more than 7 hours. At this time, Jiang Xi didn't waste any time. He cultivated in the cultivation cabin of the flying boat. 3 months ago, his sword principle had broken through to the sword intent level. As the clone continued to refine the Fey fruits, the level of the sword intent experience had also increased to the 10th level of perfection recently. Dao technique, sword intent, 10 levels, 1 billion, amplitude, 20,000 times, sword intent, a spirit power amplitude of 20,000 times, a body that's 10 times stronger than a supreme-grade spirit tool, and a spirit sense that's as strong as a mid-stage Dao integration cultivator. In summary, my combat prowess should be at the level of a Dao integration stage super mighty figure. Jiang Xi's eyes shone with a scorching light. Then, he continued to deduce the Gale, Ignis, and Vajra Daos. While he was cultivating, Liu Chuan had been guarding outside the cultivation cabin. He was a loyal guard. As expected of a core disciple at the fourth firmament. He doesn't give up on any opportunity to cultivate. Liu Chuan sighed inwardly. Since he was able to become a third tribulation transcender, he was naturally considered a genius when compared to the vast majority of cultivators. However, compared to Jiang Xi, he was far inferior. The black flying ship that was enveloped by the array formation constantly shuttled through the source space that was filled with 7 colored streams of light at 10 times the speed of light. More than 7 hours later, Liu Chuan's gaze flickered as he formed a seal with both hands. The flying ship immediately slowed down and left the source space. Jiang Xi also sensed the changes in speed and space. He ended his cultivation and walked out of the cultivation cabin. The boundless starry sky in front of him was barren. There were not many stars in sight. However, when he spread out his spiritual sense, he discovered that there was a distant star in the starry sky. 40,000 kilometers away, there was a lonely planet orbiting a star that was about to decay. Your Excellence's spiritual sense is actually so strong. Liu Chuan sensed the strength of Jiang Xi's spiritual sense and was filled with surprise. He originally wanted to remind him, but he didn't expect Jiang Xi to also discover the planet. This is indeed a hidden place. Even the most experienced starry sky wanderer would easily overlook this part of the starry sky, Riverword said. They have 1 late-stage Dao integration cultivator and 2 early-stage Dao integration cultivators. With such strength, unless they encounter an immortal, anyone who comes will die. Liu Chuan shook his head. The spiritual sense of a third tribulation transcender was even clearer than that of Jiang Xi. As for interstellar hunters, their cultivation levels were generally not high. It was very rare to see early-stage Dao integration cultivators, so they would definitely die if they came. Let's go and save her first before dealing with this bunch of trash, Jiang Xi sneered. His actual combat strength was invincible at the Dao integration realm. He alone was enough to crush the entire White Feather Planet. Even if there were any accidents, Liu Chuan could resolve them with a slap. When they had used their spiritual senses to investigate just now, they had already confirmed Wen Yoxin's location. She was hiding in a prison in a palace on planet Carlo. Then, the flying ship carried out another short teleportation, traversing 40,000 kilometers. Jiang Xi and Liu Chuan silently descended on planet Carlo. There were natives on this desolate planet. Ever since planet Carlo was occupied by White Feather Planet 30,000 years ago, the natives had become captive slaves. The natives followed the rules set by White Feather Planet to reproduce, cultivate, and eliminate. Among them, the outstanding natives would grow into golden core and nascent soul cultivators. For 30,000 years, under the control of White Feather Planet's public opinion, the natives did not know of the hidden scam. They simply thought that the growth path that White Feather Planet had set for them was an opportunity to step into the starry sky. Little did they know that from the moment they were chosen, they had become goods. They were destined to have their golden cores or nascent souls taken away and live a sad life. At this moment, on a 10,000-meter tall mountain in the Saishan tribe, I've finally cultivated to the perfected golden core stage. The next step is to break through to the nascent soul stage. At that time, I can join the White Feather Palace, walk out of this planet, and become a powerhouse of the universe. Maker jumped down from the mountain peak excitedly and flew into the air. He was a genius of the Sai Shan tribe. He had only cultivated for 80 years and reached the perfected golden core stage. The goal that White Feather Palace had set for him was to cultivate to the nascent soul stage. After returning to the tribe, Maker was surprised to find that the tribe leader was waiting for him at home. Accompanying the tribe leader was an enchanting female cultivator in white armor. When Maker saw the female cultivator's figure and appearance, he immediately blushed. Their tribe did not have such a beautiful woman. Even his sister, who did not speak, could not compare to this female cultivator. Maker, this is Lord Lian of White Feather Palace. The old tribe leader introduced with a smile. Greetings, Lord Lian. Maker bowed with a red face. Maker, congratulations. After our White Feather Palace's comprehensive inspection, we believe that you are now qualified to join the White Feather Palace in advance. Are you willing? Lord Lian smiled. Yes, I'm willing. Maker did not even think and immediately agreed. Stepping into the starry sky had always been his dream. Good, go and say goodbye to your family. Lord Lian nodded. There was nothing unusual about this series of procedures. Before joining the White Feather Palace, it was normal for the natives to say goodbye to their family. This was because the White Feather Palace believed that spontaneous cultivation with a goal was faster than forced cultivation. They had to do their best to ensure that there were no accidents at all during the collection of goods. If there were any accidents, this scam could be seen through. If the natives knew that they were just a group of captive slaves, they would definitely resist. At that time, there would be another wave of massacre. These slaves were all wealth. It would be a pity to kill them in advance. Chapter 488. Marker left home with a face full of joy. He boarded Lord Lian's ferry boat and flew towards Bayou Palace. But he felt uneasy. When he said goodbye to his family, his sister, who usually did not speak, did not say anything this time. She only drew a symbol on his palm when they hugged. This was their secret when they were young. The symbol represented caution. Why did my sister remind me to be careful? Is there danger in joining Bayou Palace? Maker became alert. But he hid it well and did not show it. In Maker's heart, his sister was definitely an intelligent person. Her cultivation talent was even higher than his. Later on, there was an accident that destroyed his sister's spirit root. Her cultivation was forever stuck at the late stage of spirit nurture. Even the Lord of Bayou Palace could not cure his sister's spirit root. And from then on, his sister did not speak anymore. It was as if she had become mute. It's better to be careful, Maker secretly reminded himself. He maintained a happy expression on his face. The ferry boat flew all the way. He followed Lord Lian and arrived above an ocean. This is the legendary Bayou Palace and Bayou Sea. Maker opened his eyes wide in shock. In front of him was a vast ocean. The ocean water rolled up layers of white waves. In the sky above the Bayou Sea, there was a huge palace floating. It was 100 times bigger than their Sai Shan tribe. This was the sacred place of Carlo Star, Bayou Palace. How spectacular! Maker's throat moved. He was stunned. This was the world of his dreams. At this moment, the yearning and desire in his heart rose to the highest level. After entering Bayou Palace, Lord Lian arranged for Maker to stay in a side hall on the 3rd floor. You can stay here for now. Once we gather 100 people, I will send you off. Lord Lian said and left. Maker noticed that this enchanting Lord Lian's attitude suddenly became cold. The indifference in his eyes was as if he was looking at a corpse. If one did not observe carefully, one would not be able to tell. But because of his sister's warning, he had already noticed all of this. There really is a problem. Maker felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. The yearning, desire, and excitement in his heart instantly disappeared at this moment. He heard a noise. He then noticed that there were already more than 30 people in this side hall. They were all in the perfected golden core realm. Looking at their clothes, It was obvious that they were from the other tribes of Carlostar. Everyone was enthusiastically chatting with each other, imagining the day when they would step into the starry skies and become a legend in the universe. Marker did not express his thoughts. He joined the discussion with a smile on his face, but the string in his heart was still tense. What should we do? There's no way I can escape. His thoughts raced as he grew more and more desperate. It wasn't just that Lord Lian's cultivation was unfathomable. He observed carefully and found that the lowest cultivation level of the white-armored warriors walking in the hall was at the golden core stage. Most of them were at the nascent soul stage. Furthermore, there were 2 nascent soul stage cultivators standing guard outside the side hall. He was only at the full foundation of the golden core stage. It was impossible for him to break out of this place. Just as Marker was starting to panic and fall into despair, Lord Lotus arrived at the 6th floor of the Bayou Palace. On this floor lived an amiable white-haired old man. He was the 3rd elder of White Feather Star Trade. 3rd elder, Maker from the Sishan tribe has been brought here. Lord Lian bowed respectfully. He didn't notice anything unusual, did he? 3rd elder nodded. No. Lord Lian shook his head and smiled. So what if he noticed something? He's about to die. Ah, Lian, you're wrong about that. 3rd elder's expression was serious. Lord Lian was stunned. He didn't understand. Among the 300-plus barren planets that our White Feather Star Trade has taken over, Maker's cultivation talent is the best. If it wasn't for a direct descendant of an ancient family who insisted on buying his golden core, we wouldn't have killed the goose that lays the golden egg. We could have waited for him to reach the nascent soul stage before selling it. 3rd elder explained. Is the buyer very important? Lord Lian asked. Very important. It's an immortal family. That's why we have to pay special attention to Maker's condition. We can't let him resist before he dies. 3rd elder said. Lord Lian then realized that if Slave WN resisted before he died, the quality of the golden core or nascent soul stage would be lowered. When the buyer fused with it, the success rate would be lowered. Since the person who wanted Maker's talent had such an important background, they had to be careful. If something went wrong, the White Feather Star Trade couldn't afford to offend them. Go to the prison and take a look at the goods that were brought back yesterday. The female cultivator in the lead has comprehended the Li Fire domain. Her nascent soul can be sold for a high price. 3rd elder said. Yes. Lord Lian bowed and left. At this moment, 3rd elder's expression changed. Not good. Someone broke into the prison. The prison's array formation was activated. Boom. The huge White Feather Palace shook violently. White armor guards, gather. A loud shout came from the 9th floor of the White Feather Palace. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 100,000 white armor cultivators flew out of the White Feather Palace. Outside the side hall on the 3rd floor, the white-armored warrior guarding the door also left. Maker knew that this was his last chance. He didn't care about the shock of the other tribes and rushed out of the palace. Boom. But he was stopped by the array. Before he could try again, he was shocked by the scene outside the palace. Above the White Feather Palace, there were 2 figures that looked like gods and demons. They stood in the air, emitting a powerful aura that made people's faces change color. Oh my God, who are they? They actually dare to go against the White Feather Palace? The other tribes were shocked. They must be very strong. They are like the gods and demons in the legends. Someone praised. I think they are overestimating themselves. The White Feather Palace has protected the Carlostar for tens of thousands of years. They are extremely powerful. Just the 2 of them want to challenge them? They are simply sending themselves to death. Someone spoke up for the White Feather Palace. Maker didn't say a word. Hearing everyone's discussion, he only felt that it was very sad. He had to admit that the White Feather Palace's scam was too good. It had almost fooled everyone. Of course, there were definitely people who discovered the White Feather Palace's true colors. Some people resisted and died. Therefore, no news was spread. Some people remained silent, just like his sister who didn't speak. Maker was in despair. Although he didn't know what was hidden under the White Feather Palace's scam, He knew that in this situation, it seemed like he could only wait for death. His only hope now was that the two of them could defeat the powerful White Feather Palace. But just like what everyone had said earlier, this was completely overestimating one's capabilities. Chapter 489. Savage Life Planet, Carlo Star. The huge Bayou Palace floated above the White Sea. At this moment, the two sides were facing each other in the sky. On one side were two godlike figures. Jiang Xi and Liu Chuan exuded powerful auras. On the other side was the army of the Bayou Palace. There were 3 Dao integration cultivators, including 1 at the late stage and 2 at the early stage. In addition, there were 100,000 white armor guards. The weakest among them was at the Golden Core stage. The late-stage Dao integration cultivator in the lead was the Bayou Palace's first elder, Yang Qi. He was also the leader of Bayou Star Trade. Yang Qi, who looked like a young man, was wearing white armor and looked rather handsome. However, his current expression was not good. He was a little terrified, and his anger had disappeared without a trace. How can there be an immortal? Bayou Star Trade has always been careful and has never offended a large faction. How can it attract the attention of an immortal? The first person Yang Qi noticed was the 3 Tribulation Transcender, Liu Chuan. This situation made him in a dilemma. This was because even if the 100,000 white armor guards of Bayou Palace attacked together, they would not be a match for this immortal. In front of an immortal, they were like ants. They were not enough to kill. Yang Qi quickly made a judgment of the situation and decided to lower his head. He bowed respectfully. Yang Qi greets the exalted immortal. As soon as he said that, the expressions of everyone in Bayou Palace changed. It was actually a legendary immortal. The 100,000 white armor guards also bowed respectfully and shouted, "Greetings, exalted immortal." The huge commotion spread throughout the entire White Sea. In the side hall on the 3rd floor of Bayou Palace, Maker's eyes widened. He really saw hope. We're saved. But in the next moment, an even more shocking scene appeared. The high and mighty immortal took a step back and was half a step behind the black-haired youth. He said, "If you want to bow, bow to my lord." This is Elder Jiang Xi of the Purple Heaven Sect's Azure branch. There was a brief silence in the sky above Bayou Palace. The expression on the handsome face of Yang Qi, the leader of Bayou Star Trade, changed drastically. Jiang Xi. He took a closer look and finally recognized him. Of course, Yang Qi also knew about Jiang Xi, because in the past 100 years, White Feather Star Trade had been using the Mountain Sea Star Trade to buy and sell golden cores and nascent souls. The Mountain Sea Star Trade was Jiang Xi's property, which was known to all the major forces in the Kanglan Star region. In the 9 Regions Genius competition 200 years ago, Jiang Xi's image had spread across the entire Blue Star region. However, after 200 years, Jiang Xi's image and temperament had changed a lot. That was why he didn't recognize Jiang Xi immediately. Now that she recognized him, Yang Qi didn't dare to be negligent. She bowed respectfully again, "Greetings, Lord Jiang Xi." At the same time, he was trying to guess the purpose of Jiang Xi's visit. Could it be that he's here to condemn me? However, Jiang Xi was high and mighty. He was one of the few people with the highest status in the entire Blue Star region. There was no need for him to denounce him for such a trivial matter, right? The Mountain Sea Star Trade was a big business. He had only used the channels of the Mountain Sea Star Trade to sell some golden core and nascent soul cultivators. From this, it could be seen that in Yang Qi's eyes, golden core and nascent soul cultivators were just ants. They could be traded and weren't worth paying attention to. In the face of Yang Qi's respectful greeting, Riverward ignored her. He just looked at Yang Qi expressionlessly. In his eyes, Yang Qi was already a dead man. However, he didn't attack immediately. The reason was simple: the White Feather Palace wasn't simple. When he was saving people just now, he discovered that the array formation of the White Feather Palace was actually an immortal array formation. Furthermore, with Liu Chuan's strength as a 3rd Tribulation Transcender, he couldn't break this array formation even with his full strength. Even the White Feather Palace had been specially refined. Under the attack just now, it only shook violently and wasn't damaged at all. According to Liu Chuan's judgment, the expert who refined the White Feather Palace and set up the immortal array formation was at least a 6th tribulation transcender. This meant that there was an unknown immortal behind the White Feather Palace. Of course, even if it was a 6th tribulation transcender, Jiang Ci wasn't afraid. It wasn't like he didn't have a backer. The main thing was that his main mission here was to save people. He had to save Wen Yushin first before dealing with this group of trash in front of him. The key to opening the array formation now lay with Yang Qi. Yang Qi, do you know your crime? Jiang Ci asked coldly. I know my crime. Yang Qi didn't dare to refute. Where is the crime? Jiang Ci asked. I shouldn't have sold the golden cores and nascent souls of cultivators. I committed a heinous crime, Yang Qi said honestly. Although he was unwilling, he didn't dare to show it. That's all? Jiang Ci sneered. Yang Qi was puzzled. It seems like you still don't know what mistake you've made. It's true that selling the golden cores and nascent souls of cultivators is a capital offense. However, you missed out on one thing. You touched my people and my business. This is also a capital offense. Jiang Ci shouted coldly. Lord Jiang Ci, I only borrowed the Mountain Sea Star Trades channel. I didn't dare to touch your people. Yang Qi shook his head and denied it. He knew very well that the White Feather Star trade was definitely finished this time. His life might not be guaranteed. Unless his master intervened, only then would he be able to save his life. The prerequisite was that he couldn't bear too many crimes and grudges. According to the laws of the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court, selling golden cores and nascent souls was indeed a capital offense. However, there was still room for negotiation. Borrowing the Mountain Sea Star Trades channel seemed to have offended Jiang Ci and formed a grudge. However, on the other hand, this was also a good thing. Because as long as his master intervened, Jiang Ci would give him face and not pursue the matter too much. Perhaps the two sides could even use this opportunity to establish a relationship. However, if he touched Jiang Ci's people, he would have offended Jiang Ci greatly. That would be even more troublesome. You didn't touch my people? Jiang Ci sneered. Open your prison. Yang Qi's heart thumped as he realized that something was wrong. Then, he recalled how Jiang Ci had forcefully broken into the White Feather Palace's prison. His heart instantly sank. How could this be? He had repeatedly emphasized not to clash with the Mountain Sea Star Trades people. Could it be that someone had disobeyed this order and captured the Mountain Sea Star Trades people? Old Third. Yang Qi shouted. The White Feather Star Trades' third elder trembled and flew over from behind. The originally amiable third elder's face was now pale. What's going on? Yang Qi asked. Yesterday, a Mountain Sea Star Trades patrol team discovered that we had tampered with the Kalu Star. Those people's cultivations were at most mid-stage nascent soul. I thought they weren't important people. The early-stage Tao integration third elder knew that he had caused a great disaster. Yang Qi's expression changed. It seemed that they had really captured an important person of the Mountain Sea Star trade. He thought that since Jiang Ci and that immortal couldn't break the White Feather Palace's immortal Tao formation, perhaps this was his bargaining chip to survive. After a quick consideration, Yang Qi made up his mind and said, Lord Jiang Ci, this is a complete misunderstanding. If Lord Jiang Ci agrees to spare my life, I will immediately open the prison. Chapter 490. Are you threatening me? Jiang Ci raised his eyebrows. I wouldn't dare. Please live. Yang Qi went all out. He was betting that the people in the prison were very important to Jiang Ci. Otherwise, Jiang Ci would have taken action long ago. Spare you? Jiang Ci laughed. He was both angry and amused. That's impossible, but I can give you a chance. If you defeat me, you can leave alive. Yang Qi's eyes lit up. That was enough. He looked at Liu Chuan again and said, This exalted immortal beside me can't kill me either. Liu Chuan won't attack, Jiang Ci said. Lord Jiang Ci, please swear a heavenly Tao oath. Yang Qi gritted his teeth. You don't have the right to bargain. Either you die now, or you fight with me. Also, don't think too highly of yourself. I don't want to play tricks with you. Jiang Xi shook his head. Yang Qi fell silent. Although Jiang Xi's words were unpleasant, he had made a fact clear. A core disciple of the Purple Firmament sect at the Fourth Firmament indeed disdained to play tricks with him. Then, he formed a hand seal and opened the array formation barrier of the White Feather Palace. Wen Yushin and a few surviving Mountain Sea Star Trade Patrol employees flew out of the prison. They were also paying attention to this confrontation. Uncle Granduncle. Wen Yushin bowed excitedly. It's fine. Step aside. Jiang Xi smiled and said to Liu Chuan, protect them. Liu Chuan nodded and retreated thousands of kilometers away with Wen Yushin and the others. This third tribulation transcender was also very helpless. Who knew that such an accident would happen? An unknown illegal star trade group actually had an immortal Dao expert who was at least a sixth tribulation transcender behind them. Even he couldn't break the immortal Dao array formation setup. Before they rescued the person, he and Jiang Xi were somewhat afraid of taking action. Otherwise, they would have taken action just now. Why would they bother dealing with Yang Qi? Everyone from the White Feather Palace also retreated thousands of kilometers. In the sky above the White Sea, only Jiang Xi and Yang Qi were left facing each other. Sir Jiang Xi, please excuse me. Yang Qi's eyes were brimming with fighting spirit. A strange-looking crescent blade appeared in her hand. There were 5 rings on the blade. This was a battle of life and death. He had to win. He did not underestimate Jiang Xi just because Jiang Xi was in the primordial soul stage. He knew very well that this young genius at the pinnacle of the universe definitely had the strength to fight beyond his level. Zhang. Jiang Xi also took out the Red Heaven Sword, and his sword intent spread out for tens of thousands of kilometers. This space seemed to have become a world of swords. Sword intent. Yang Qi was shocked. Liu Chuan, who was thousands of kilometers away, was even more shocked than Yang Qi. He could clearly sense that Jiang Xi's sword intent had reached perfection. The strength of this Daoist technique had far surpassed that of a third tribulation transcender. He was also relieved. He was originally prepared to make a move at any time, but now it seemed that Jiang Xi could handle it alone. Looks like I'll have to reveal this trump card. Yang Qi's expression was extremely grim. Wang. She gently waved the full moon scimitar in her hand, and late-stage Dao integration spiritual power surged. At the same time, she summoned a Daoist technique with her spiritual sense. The power of 5 Daoist runes spiraled out in a strange manner. With the help of the 5 rings on the full moon scimitar, they actually fused together, forming an even stronger power of Daoist runes. This power directly dispersed Jiang Xi's sword intent. 5 elements Daoist technique. Jiang Xi's expression changed. This Yang Qi had actually walked an additional path of Daoist techniques than him. Furthermore, it happened to be a 5 elements Daoist technique. It perfectly reinforced and restrained each other, turning into a new kind of power, the power of the 5 element. In this way, Yang Qi's strength was not as simple as a late-stage Dao integration cultivator. She might even be invincible in the Dao integration realm. With your talent, you are definitely at the level of a core disciple of the 3 gates and 6 sects. Why didn't you enter the 3 gates and 6 sects to cultivate? Instead, you came to do this kind of shady business. Jiang Xi did not understand. Because I obtained this by refining someone else's nascent soul. The original owner of this nascent soul was a true genius. He comprehended all 5 elements Daoist techniques at the nascent soul stage. Unfortunately, he was just an aboriginal and did not even have the chance to enter the universe, Yang Qi said matter-of-factly. Realization dawned on Jiang Xi. At the same time, the killing intent in his heart intensified. This was because he was also an aboriginal. If that's the case, you can die now. Jiang Xi shouted coldly. He slashed out with his sword. A green lotus of sword Dao appeared. Spiritual power surged wildly and condensed into a soaring sword intent. It was as if it was going to break open the heavens. Yang Qi did not dare to be careless. Her full moon scimitar drew an arc in the air. Under the fusion of the 5 elements Daoist technique, The power of the 5 elements formed a huge rune diagram. Boom, boom, boom. The sword intent collided with the rune diagram, and a huge impact spread out. This space collapsed. Huge waves of 10,000 meters high rose from the White Sea, and the islands in the sea exploded one after another. Moving mountains and overturning seas. The huge commotion shocked everyone. Jiangxi and Yang Qi were also sent flying by the impact. They lost control of their bodies. After this attack, the two sides were actually evenly matched. No, Yang Qi had the upper hand. Under the powerful impact, he was less affected than Jiangxi. Lord Jiangxi, it seems that I have won this battle. Yang Qi laughed loudly. He first got rid of the impact and slashed out with his scimitar. He knew that he could not kill Jiangxi, so he deliberately held back 30% of his strength. However, he believed that even with 70% of the power of the 5 elements, he could defeat Jiangxi. The next moment, he was stunned. Clang! The power of the 5 elements that could cause space to collapse landed on Jiangxi, who was sent flying backward, and actually produced a huge tremor. As for Jiangxi's body, only a wound that was less than an inch deep was left. Impossible! Yang Qi roared angrily. He was in despair. Streams of force of the 5 elements were unleashed, filling the sky. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Like arrows, they all shot towards Jiangxi. Although his Tao of the 5 elements were at the level of the Tao of heaven and earth, the power of the 5 elements formed after fusing the full moon scimitar. He had crossed a major realm and reached the level of the great Tao. Whoosh! Jiangxi held the red heaven sword. Instead of retreating, he advanced and merged with the sword. Under the soaring sword intent, he broke through the power of the 5 elements one after another. With his tyrannical body, even if he was hit by the power of the 5 elements, he would not be hurt too much. This shameless fighting style made Yang Qi even more desperate. Impossible. I will not die here. Yang Qi's desire to live was very strong. The full moon scimitar once again released the power of the 5 elements. Clang! It still did not break through Jiangxi's body defense. At this moment, Jiangxi came in front of Yang Qi. Sorry, your Tao technique is indeed very strong. The power of the 5 elements after the fusion of the 5 elements is even comparable to the power of the perfected sword intent. It's a pity that my body can only be damaged by immortal weapons. Jiangxi also chuckled and stabbed out with his sword. The sword intent flashed and disappeared in the air, piercing through Yang Qi's head. Of course, it was not so easy to kill a late-stage Tao integration realm cultivator. Jiangxi still had many unanswered questions. He took a step forward and arrived in front of Yang Qi, who was on the verge of death. Before Yang Qi's primordial spirit dissipated, he used the soul-searching technique. Don't even think about it. Yang Qi growled and wanted to struggle. With his late-stage Tao integration realm primordial spirit, he could indeed resist Jiangxi's soul-searching. Jiangxi slashed again. The supreme-grade immortal weapon, Red Heaven Sword, easily cut off more than half of Yang Qi's primordial spirit. Chapter 491. After the battle ended, no one from Bayou Palace dared to make a move. Even their most powerful leader had been killed. They had no hope. Liu Chuan brought Wen Yushin and the others back to Jiangxi's side. You killed a late-stage Tao integration cultivator. EXP plus 26,000. Jiangxi's soul-searching ended quickly, and Yang Qi was completely dead. He sighed softly. What a pity for a genius. Cultivating 5 Tao techniques at the same time, and they happen to be all 5 elements Tao techniques. Moreover, they have all reached the Tao of heaven and earth level. Such talent is rarely seen in the entire Tao alliance. It's indeed a pity, Liu Chuan sighed. You're wrong, Liu Chuan. Jiangxi shook his head. I pity the person whose nascent soul was snatched away by Yang Qi. That's the true genius. Yang Qi deserves to die. Jiangxi slammed his palm on Yang Qi's corpse. This late-stage Tao integration cultivator was instantly reduced to ashes. Even so, it was difficult to resolve the hatred in Jiangxi's heart. Through the soul-searching, he learned that Yang Qi was originally a native of a desolate planet. On this desolate planet, due to their bloodline, the natives' talent was generally higher. With a little effort, they could cultivate to the nascent soul realm. Yang Qi's good friend was a top genius among the natives. He had comprehended all 5 elements at the nascent soul realm and cultivated to the Tao of heaven and earth level. Later on, their planet was discovered by the space hunters, and Yang Qi and his good friend stepped into the cosmos. However, his good friend did not know how to judge people. He did not know that Yang Qi had long been jealous of his talent. After Yang Qi joined Bayou Star Trade, he plotted against his good friend and used a secret technique to refine his good friend's nascent soul. Although this secret technique could only take away more than half of the original owner's talent, even with more than half of his good friend's talent, Yang Qi still became a genius cultivator. In the end, he reached the Tao integration realm and became the leader of Bayou Star Trade. If it's a complete talent, he should be able to easily transcend the tribulation and become an immortal, right? Liu Chuan sighed after hearing Jiang Xi's story. It's not just transcending the tribulation to become an immortal. With such talent, he has the chance to transcend 9 tribulations in a row. Jiang Xi snorted coldly. This was a genius whose talent was comparable to Lu Yun of the Sword's Gate. It was a pity that he died before he could even mature. Liu Chuan was silent. He could understand the feeling of geniuses appreciating each other. There were definitely people who coveted Jiang Xi's talent, but Jiang Xi had a strong background to protect him. Even if someone was jealous, they wouldn't dare to make a move against Jiang Xi. My lord, what about the others? Liu Chuan scanned the people from the White Feather Palace. Of course I'll kill them all. You don't have to do it, I'll do it. Jiang Xi's tone was cold and full of killing intent. As soon as these words were spoken, the people of Bayou Palace fell into extreme fear, as if doomsday had arrived. Sir, please spare my life. Someone pleaded. I've never killed anyone. I'm just working for White Feather Star Trade. Someone wanted to explain himself. You want to kill us all? Everyone, let's fight it out with him. I don't believe that he can defeat 100,000 of us White Armor Guard. Boom. 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 All sorts of counterattacks and saber lights and sword shadows attacked Jiang Xi. In the face of this, Jiang Xi's expression did not change at all. His expression was cold. Buzz, sword intent suddenly spread out, turning into a world of swords. Countless sword lights filled this world. With a thought from Jiang Xi, sword lights wreaked havoc. Regardless of whether the 100,000 White Armor Guards and the upper echelons of Bayou Palace begged for mercy, defended themselves, or resisted, none of them survived. The sword light shattered everything, and the White Sea turned into a sea of blood. After killing 100,000 people, Jiang Xi did not feel any discomfort. His heart was as firm as steel. Because these people deserved to die. From Yang Qi's memories, he understood everything about White Feather Star Trade. This illegal trade organization that had existed for 30,000 years had always been in the business of selling golden cores and nascent souls. It was unknown how many geniuses had died. More than 300 savage planets under its banner had also become breeding grounds, and the natives had become slaves. Therefore, none of the people from Bayou Palace were innocent. In this scene of slaughter, Jiang Xi was truly like a god-fiend. His entire body was tainted with a murderous aura when Yushin and the others were trembling in fear. However, as a 3-tribulation transcender, Liu Chuan did not feel any discomfort. Liu Chuan glanced at Bayou Palace. The sword light just now had wreaked havoc, but it did not cause any damage to Bayou Palace. The immortal Tao array formation was extremely powerful. He asked Jiang Xi, Lord, there's an unknown immortal Tao expert behind Bayou Palace. How should we deal with him? It's a little troublesome. Jiang Xi shook his head gently. Liu Chuan's expression changed slightly. If even someone of Jiang Xi's status found it troublesome, then his background must be very powerful. At this moment, Jiang Xi smiled and said, however, it's not me who's in trouble. This matter needs to be reported to the sect. When the time comes, the ones in trouble will be the people from the sect. Furthermore, The mess left behind by Bayou Star trade needs to be settled properly. There are so many savage planets that have to be registered with the Tao Alliance's heavenly court. It will take a lot of time to deal with them with just the strength of our supervision department. It's more suitable for the sect to deal with them. The more than 300 savage planets under Bayou Star trade were scattered throughout the pale blue star zone. Some were even in other star zones. There were no interstellar teleportation arrays on the savage planets, so they could only be reached by flying ship. It was indeed very troublesome to deal with them. Only then did Liu Chuan relax. He had previously offended a 6 tribulation transcender and suffered. Therefore, he was also worried that he would offend an immortal Tao expert of this level because of this matter. Since Jiang Ci was willing to let the sect handle the aftermath, he didn't have to worry about this anymore. After that, Jiang Ci didn't stay on planet Carlo any longer. Together with Liu Chuan, he left planet Carlo with Wen Yushin and the others. When Yang Qi released Wen Yushin and the others, the array formation barrier she had opened was complete and covered the entire Bayou Palace. Since the prison was opened, the side hall on the 3rd floor was naturally opened as well. Maker and dozens of golden core cultivators from other tribes carefully stepped out of the side hall. They were all geniuses among the native races and believed that they had strong endurance. However, everything that had happened today had fiercely impacted their worldview. Everyone stood in the corridor of Bayou Palace in a daze. Here, they could see the white sea that had turned into a sea of blood. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood. I didn't expect that all of this was a scam. Someone smiled bitterly. Bayou Palace lied to us for 30,000 years. These demons actually wanted to kill us and take away our golden cores and nascent souls. Someone was furious. Evil has its retribution. They are all dead and have been punished. Someone clapped and praised. Maker looked at the empty sky and said with a deep gaze, that Lord Jiang Ci is our savior and also the savior of planet Carlo. He would never forget the scene of sword intent and sword chi rampaging through the sky. At the same time, his yearning and curiosity towards the universe became even stronger. First released, then changed. Chapter 492. The future development of Carlo Star was no longer within Jiang Ci's scope of concern. He reported the situation of the more than 300 wild planets occupied by White Feather Star trade to the Purple Heaven sect. When the time came, the sect would send people to deal with the follow-up issues. He believed that these wild planets would be properly settled down. Generally speaking, the crisis caused by Wen Yoshin's disappearance in the Mountain Sea Star trade was also resolved with the destruction of White Feather Star trade. Although some accidents occurred in the process of resolving the problem, it was not a big deal. However, the impact of this incident was not over yet. The low-grade Immortal Treasure flying ship shuttled through the source space, heading toward Keilu Star in the Shuangzhou star system. They were going to return to planet Dongyuan through the interstellar teleportation formation there. Jiang Ci sat cross-legged in the flying ship's cultivation cabin, carefully thinking about the information he had obtained from Yang Qi's memories. White Feather Star Trade, an illegal interstellar trade organization, had been secretly active in the Blue Star region, or rather, in the Purple Heaven region for 30,000 years. Yang Qi was only the current leader. Before him, there were other people in charge of White Feather Star trade. Thinking about it carefully, it was very abnormal. Because the sale of golden cores and nascent souls of cultivators was a trade activity prohibited by the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance. For White Feather Star trade to exist for 30,000 years without being discovered by the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance, no one would believe that it did not have a background. Soaring Rainbow Sect. Jiang Ci muttered in his heart. Soaring Rainbow Sect was the second-ranked Immortal Tao sect in the Blue Star region, second only to Blue Cloud sect. He had a grudge with Soaring Rainbow Sect long ago. When Mountain Sea Star trade was first established, he had a conflict with the Soaring Rainbow Sect. At that time, he almost killed the person in charge of Soaring Rainbow Star trade. Unexpectedly, the crisis of Mountain Sea Star trade this time also came from Soaring Rainbow Sect. The actual founder of White Feather Star trade was Soaring Rainbow Sect's ancestor, Immortal Yuan Ku, who was also Yang Qi's master. However, it was not Yuan Ku who acted as a protective umbrella for White Feather Star trade. Yuan Ku was just a fourth tribulation transcender. He did not have enough power to resist the pressure from the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance for White Feather Star trade. The real backer of White Feather Star trade was the immortal Tao powerhouse who laid down the formation barrier for White Feather Palace. An immortal path powerhouse that was at least a sixth tribulation transcender was more than enough to solve most of White Feather Star trade's troubles. After all, the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance was in charge of overseeing the 9 major stellar zones of the Tao Alliance. They wouldn't waste too much effort on a single interstellar trading group. Thinking of this, Riverward shook his head. This was because he couldn't find any information about this immortal Tao expert in Yang Qi's memories. This actual beneficiary of White Feather Star trade had hidden himself very deeply. Selling the gold cores and nascent souls of the cultivators was a very profitable business, but it was not honorable. Even if high-level immortal Tao experts were to intervene, they would still have to consider their own reputation and that of the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court. Let the Purple Heaven sect fight with them, Jiang Ci smiled. In his current situation, he was simply not strong enough to face 6th Tribulation Transcender and above. Just like the last time in the Land of Reincarnation, he didn't have any room to resist in front of the 7th Tribulation Transcender Qiao Tu. He could only obediently surrender. Jiang Ci could clearly see that even if it was the Soaring Rainbow sect, it would still be very difficult for him to shake it. Even if his status was comparable to that of a 4th Tribulation Transcender and he had real power in his hands. Compared to Soaring Rainbow sect, which had existed for millions of years, he was still lacking. This was the main reason why he chose to let the sect deal with the aftermath of White Feather Star trade. The distance between Carlo Star and Kalu Star was more than 30 light-years. It would take more than 7 hours to travel through the source space at 10 times the speed of light. In the following time, Jiang Ci quickly entered a state of cultivation and continued to use the panel to deduce Daoist techniques. The flying boat kept shuttling through the source space that was suffused with rainbow-colored light. With the ratio of 1:3600 between the source space and the original universe, they were getting closer and closer to Kalu Star. Very quickly, 7 hours passed. Jiang Ci received a message from his master, the Wine Sword Immortal. After connecting, the phantom image of the Wine Sword Immortal's message appeared in front of him. Disciple greets master. Jiang Ci smiled and respectfully bowed. There is a situation that you should pay attention to. The Wine Sword Immortal didn't have his usual unrestrained appearance. Instead, he was very serious. Oh! Jiang Ci stopped smiling. He didn't know what could make his master treat him so seriously. Just now, True Monarch Myriad Poison of the Tao sect asked me for your communication mark. He might contact you later. Pay attention to what you say and don't offend him, the Wine Sword Immortal said with a serious expression. True Monarch Myriad Poison? Jiang Ci froze for a moment. He didn't know this True Monarch. However, looking at his master's serious and even somewhat fearful expression, this True Monarch Myriad Poison shouldn't be a good person. True Monarch Myriad Poison is an ancient existence whose strength is not inferior to True Monarch 6 Virtuos. In terms of poison, he can be said to be number 1 in the human race, the Wine Sword Immortal explained. Master, such an ancient existence shouldn't have any enmity with me, right? Jiang Ci was frightened and somewhat nervous. If the number 1 poison expert of the human race wanted to kill him, he wouldn't even need to move his hair. He would die with just a thought. Don't worry, no matter what he wants from you, as long as you don't offend him, you don't have to worry about him harming your life. After all, you are a core disciple of the 4th heaven of the Purple Heaven sect. If he wants to touch you, he will definitely have to consider the consequences, the Wine Sword Immortal comforted. Jiang Ci took a deep breath. His master's comfort obviously didn't ease the anxiety in his heart. He was sure that if such an ancient existence really killed him, nothing would happen to him. In short, if anything happens, contact me immediately. Before the wine-loving Sword Immortal ended the transmission, he reminded him solemnly again. He didn't show his helplessness in front of Jiang Ci. This 9 Tribulations Sword Immortal, whose fame once topped the 9 major star regions of the Tao Alliance, once again felt angry about his own incompetence. 50,000 years ago, he and his cultivation partner, Lotus Sword Immortal, joined forces to fight against a true monarch of the demon race. Although they severely injured the other party, his cultivation partner died because of it. That was the first time he felt so powerless after passing the tribulation and becoming an immortal in the face of the disparity in strength. He was helpless. This was the second time. Jiang Xi didn't know what the Wine Sword Immortal was thinking. He was thinking about how to deal with the true monarch of myriad poisons. Even when the flying ship left the source space and ended the shuttle, he still couldn't think of a good idea. Because in the face of absolute strength, any strategy was futile. After returning to the Kalu star, Jiang Xi didn't immediately take the interstellar transportation array to leave. He also didn't show his anxiety. Instead, he calmly waited for the message from the true monarch of myriad poisons at the Ministry of Supervision Station. Taking advantage of this time, Jiang Xi specially searched for information about the true monarch of myriad poisons on the Eye of Heaven network. After understanding this ancient existence in detail, the pressure in his heart increased. For example, the true monarch of myriad poisons had once slaughtered in all directions in the demon race's territory. There were at least tens of thousands of life planets in a galaxy. This was a ruthless person. Chapter 493. After half a day, Jiang Xi's communication bead vibrated as he received a communication request. It was an unfamiliar communication mark. Jiang Xi knew that it was coming. At this juncture, Jiang Xi was no longer nervous. What was the use of being nervous? It could not bring him any positive influence. What should he do? If Myriad Poison True Lord really wanted to kill him, it was useless to be nervous. Besides, it was just a communication. Myriad Poison True Lord could not kill him through the Eye of Heaven. With a thought, he decisively accepted the communication. Phew, the communication phantom appeared. A kind-looking old Taoist appeared in front of Jiang Xi. The old Taoist had a harmless smile on his face, which made people feel good about him. He did not look like an expert who poisoned billions of creatures. Jiang Xi greets Lord True Lord. Jiang Xi bowed respectfully. You are an elite of our human race. No need to be so polite in front of me. Myriad Poison True Lord smiled. Jiang Xi did not dare to relax at all. He squeezed out a smile on his face. Myriad Poison True Lord did not care. He smiled and said, I was recently on a whim to buy a life galaxy to play with and experience the life of the mortal world. After investigation, I found that the Milky Way galaxy under your hands meets my requirements. I am looking for you this time to buy your Milky Way galaxy. Name a price. Play. These two words came out of Myriad Poison True Lord's mouth. Wouldn't the entire Milky Way galaxy become a poison den? Jiang Xi had a bad feeling. He felt that this was not the real purpose of Myriad Poison True Lord. He pretended to hesitate and asked, Senior wants to use the life of the Milky Way galaxy to test the poison path? Haha, I am only cruel to the alien race. I will not harm the living beings of the human race. Myriad Poison True Lord laughed. Jiang Xi pondered for a moment and said, in that case, I dare not spoil Senior's mood. The Milky Way galaxy can be transferred to Senior. However, I have a request. No problem, say it. Myriad Poison True Lord was very patient. I can transfer all the other planets in the Milky Way galaxy to Senior for free. I only want to keep the sovereignty of my home planet. Jiang Xi said. Myriad Poison's True Lord raised his eyebrows, a hint of helplessness flashing through his green eyes. Hee, you're smart. To tell you the truth, the reason why I'm interested in the Milky Way galaxy is because of your home planet, Earth. I don't care about the other planets. True Lord of Myriad Poisons pointed out the word Earth. Jiang Xi's heart tightened. Ever since he had applied to become the overlord of Earth in the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance, Earth had transformed from a desolate planet into his personal territory. However, he had never revealed the existence of Earth to the outside world. Moreover, even the Purple Heaven sect did not discover Earth back then. How did Myriad Poison Lord know of Earth's existence? Senior, My home planet is just an ordinary planet with life. Compared to many other planets with life in the Milky Way, it is insignificant. I wonder why Senior wants to buy Earth. Jiang Xi asked. Little guy, don't fail to appreciate my kindness. Do I need to give you a reason to buy something? Myriad Poison's true monarch said sinisterly. He suddenly revealed his true face. His kind face instantly became incomparably fierce. His head of white hair was like thousands of poisonous snakes, wriggling and slithering. That pair of oily green eyes emitted a frightening poisonous light. Although they were separated by a transmission phantom, Jiang Xi still felt as if he had fallen into an abyss. A bone-piercing chill spread from the soles of his feet to his brain. It was as if death was about to descend. At this moment, the lotus platform of Jiang Xi's primordial spirit in his mind trembled slightly. It emitted a golden spiritual light and dispelled the chill. He clenched his teeth and said, Senior, Earth is this junior's home. That is the place where I was born and raised. I can't just hand over my home to someone else. Therefore, forgive me for not being able to comply. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Myriad Poison's true monarch sneered. Of course I am, Jiang Xi said resolutely and decisively. However, I'm more afraid of becoming someone without a home. This junior believes that in life, one must have something to hold on to. Protecting my home, protecting my race. This is what I insist on in my heart. After he finished speaking, Jiang Xi respectfully bowed and waited for Myriad Poison's true monarch's reply. He. Myriad Poison's true monarch suddenly laughed strangely. As an ancient existence, he had experienced too many things. His fierce name was left behind by all the races in the universe. No one had ever dared to directly reject him like Jiang Xi did. You have a lot of guts. However, you must know that with my methods, killing you is easier than breathing. Moreover, I don't need to bear any responsibility. Myriad Poison's true monarch said. Jiang Xi maintained his silence and silently resisted. Earth definitely couldn't fall into the hands of Myriad Poison's true monarch. Just like what he said just now, that was his home, his race. With Myriad Poison's true monarch's methods, no matter what secrets Earth had, it was very likely that it would become hell on Earth. Therefore, Jiang Xi threw caution to the wind. If Myriad Poison's true monarch insisted on buying Earth, then he was destined to offend this powerful existence. However, as long as he was still alive, Myriad Poison's true monarch wouldn't be able to forcefully take over Earth. The Planet Overlord decree was made by the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance and the Three Gates and Six Sects. Even if Myriad Poison's true monarch was the #1 poison expert of the human race, he wouldn't dare to go against this decree. What he was considering now was how to survive after offending Myriad Poison's true monarch. First of all, he would immediately return to Earth and put Earth, the Moon, and the Sun into the Heaven Connecting Pavilion. The space inside the Heaven Connecting Pavilion already contained more than 1,000 corpses of Tribulation Transcender monsters. When these corpses were put together, they had a diameter of nearly 1,000,000 kilometers. Therefore, the Heaven Connecting Pavilion could easily store several planets. In any case, the humans of Earth had never come into contact with the Universe Tao Alliance and didn't know about the existence of other races. It didn't matter if he changed space. Then, he would return to the headquarters of the Purple Heaven sect and enter seclusion in the immortal cave of the Fourth Heaven. When he became a Tao monarch, that was when he would come out. Wasn't it just being ruthless to himself? Myriad Poison's true monarch was a member of the Tao Alliance. He couldn't run to the Purple Heaven sect to kill people. Although the Tao Alliance was detached from worldly affairs, the Purple Heaven sect wasn't to be trifled with. Of course, the worst-case scenario was that even the Purple Heaven sect couldn't protect him. If that was really the case, then he would directly wander around. The universe was vast and boundless, and there was bound to be a place for him to hide. He could casually find a desolate star system, and even if Myriad Poison's true monarch searched, he wouldn't be able to find him. With the experience points panel, as long as he had enough time, so what if he was a Tao monarch? After figuring this out, Jiang Xi was no longer afraid of Myriad Poison's true monarch. However, on the surface, he still maintained a respectful posture and remained silent. Myriad Poison's true monarch's green eyes stared at Jiang Ci. Suddenly, he regained his kind face and laughed. Ha ha ha, as expected of a young elite of the human race, neither servile nor overbearing. This old Daoist admires you very much. How about this? There should be a lot of immortal caves on Earth, right? You can leave one for me. Although he didn't understand how Myriad Poison's true monarch knew so much about Earth, this result made Jiang Ci really relieved. He immediately agreed. No problem, I will definitely leave one immortal cave for Senior. Send first, change later. Chapter 494. When Myriad Poison's true monarch's voice transmission image disappeared, he immediately turned around. Jiang Ci felt weak all over, as if he had been sucked dry. Was he nervous? He would be lying if he said he wasn't nervous. He finally understood that what he had said in the past was all nonsense. Just now, he had truly experienced the arrival of death. The pressure that true monarch Myriad Poison brought to him was stronger than all the life and death crises he had experienced before. However, it was still a good result. The only question now was, how did true monarch Myriad Poison know about the existence of Earth? And he knew so much. Jiang Ci fell into deep thought. Could it be that the Eye of Heaven revealed the existence of Earth? When he registered as the Lord of Earth, the Eye of Heaven had to leave a mark in the sky where Earth was located. Therefore, the Eye of Heaven must know about the existence of Earth. But the Eye of Heaven was just a magic treasure. Magic treasure? Jiang Ci thought of the Sky Tower. Even the Sky Tower had an intelligent artifact spirit like Nichang. What about the Eye of Heaven? Pale blue planet, asteroid belt. This huge celestial body at the junction of the Milky Way and the pale blue planet was an irregular three-dimensional sphere that covered the sky with a diameter of thousands of light-years. It was filled with all kinds of cosmic dust, star debris, nebulas, and meteorites. The complex environment made the asteroid belt a famous dangerous place in the pale blue planet, known as the graveyard of space hunters. For countless years, the number of space hunters who had successfully entered the depths of the asteroid belt was very few. The closest planet to the asteroid belt was the dustfall star in the Milky Way. Because of its location, this planet was quite famous in the space hunter circle in the pale blue planet. On this day, 5 hours before Jiang Ci and true monarch Myriad Mountain sent a message. A group of immortal Dao powerhouses was teleported from planet Dongyuan to the dustfall star. Then, without stopping, they drove the supreme-grade immortal artifact flying ship straight to the asteroid belt. Although the asteroid belt's environment was complex and dangerous, it was not too difficult for immortal Dao powerhouses TSK. This unknown dangerous place in the universe has such a spectacular scene. Immortal Qiao Tu stood on the deck of the flying ship and looked at the asteroid belt that was slowly moving. Even with his strength as a seventh tribulation transcender, he couldn't see through the shattered stars. It was simply made up of cosmic dust, star fragments, nebulas, meteorites, and so on. However, it was as if it had a life of its own. The 8 immortal Dao experts behind Qiao Tu laughed as well. An old fifth tribulation transcender said, "What's even more surprising is that there's a planet with life hidden in the depths of this asteroid belt. When Sir brought us to look for Jiang Ci's hometown, we couldn't find it even after searching all over the Milky Way. I didn't expect it to be hidden here. Haha, no matter what, I'll definitely be the first to arrive on Earth among the many perfected cultivators and make great contributions to my father." Qiao Shuo laughed proudly. His bald head was sparkling under the starlight. This means that Milord is the one truly chosen by the heavens. Just by casually placing a piece, you can reap great rewards. The subordinates of the other perfected cultivators might not have reached the Milky Way galaxy yet. "We have already arrived near Earth and seized the initiative," said a female immortal dressed in colorful clothes with a smile. Seize the initiative. Qiao Tu's gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the layers of obstacles and directly locked onto Earth in the depths of the asteroid belt. Half a year ago, Jiang Ci was rampant in front of him and left unscathed. In addition, Jiang Ci was the disciple of his old enemy, the Wine Sword Immortal. He couldn't tolerate this. Therefore, he carefully investigated Jiang Xi's background and found out that Jiang Xi's hometown was a planet called Earth. He even brought a team of immortal Tao experts to search for Earth in the Milky Way galaxy. However, after half a year, they still didn't find anything. It was as if Earth didn't exist in the Milky Way galaxy. Today, he suddenly received a message from his father, perfected cultivator Baoyang, asking him to bring this team of immortal Tao experts to the depths of the asteroid belt to find and take down Earth. Only then did he know that Earth was in the depths of the asteroid belt. Next, Qiao Tu's supreme-grade flying ship didn't directly fly into the asteroid belt. Instead, it directly accelerated and entered the source space outside the asteroid belt. Because of the environment inside the asteroid belt, there wasn't enough space for any object to accelerate and reach the speed of light. It would take a few hundred years to reach Earth by flying at sublight speed. If it traveled through the source space, it would only take a few hours to reach the depths of the asteroid belt. 5 hours later, the ship was about 600,000 kilometers away from Mars in the solar system. Just like the surface of the water, waves appeared and Qiao Tu's supreme-grade flying ship shuttled out. Including Qiao Tu, there were a total of 9 tribulation transcender immortals. After seeing the scene in front of them, they were overjoyed. Because this space was completely different from the asteroid belt. Their spiritual senses probed the starry sky and soon discovered Mars. Qiao Tu was a little surprised. That dark red planet once gave birth to a powerful civilization. From the looks of it, it should have been dead for at least one era. One era was 36 million years. The old man who looked like a 5th tribulation transcender said with a smile, "My lord, it seems that this planet isn't simple." Qiao Tu said with interest, "If that's the case, I'm even more curious about Earth. What's so special about this planet that my father and so many perfected cultivators value?" His father, perfected cultivator Baoyang, was a true genius of Taoism. He was only one level below ancient existences like perfected cultivator Myriad Poison and perfected cultivator 6 Virtuous. It could be said that in this original universe, there were not many things that his father valued so much. Afterward, Qiao Tu drove the flying ship again and searched the solar system. In just 15 minutes, they arrived at the space near Earth. The spirit senses of the 9 immortals immediately discovered the first moon. Among the 9 Taoism immortals, the lowest was a 3rd tribulation transcender, and the highest was a 7th tribulation transcender, Qiao Tu. However, at this moment, their expressions changed greatly. Their faces were full of disbelief and shock. Some of the immortals even showed signs of panic. "Am I seeing things? That's the Guanghan Palace of the Guanghan sect. That planet below is the moon of the Guanghan sect's headquarters. But why is it so desolate? That moon star is actually orbiting another blue planet. That's the headquarters of the Guanghan sect. No, it's not the Guanghan sect. Although that broken palace and desolate planet are similar to the headquarters of the Guanghan sect, the scale is countless times smaller." After a short period of shock, the 9 immortals regained their senses. Even Qiao Tu, who was a 7th tribulation transcender, was shocked by the discovery just now. "It seems that the blue planet should be Earth. Humph! How dare they imitate the headquarters of the Guanghan sect?" Qiao Tu sneered. Chapter 495. This was truly audacious. The Tao Alliance's 3 sects and 6 sects were in charge of one of the human domains. Each of the 9 major immortal Tao sects was at the top of the human race and was respected by everyone. In this place, the headquarters of the Guanghan sect was actually orbiting around a planet. It was just a satellite that served as a contrast. If this was seen by the people of the vast Frost sect, it would definitely cause a bloodbath. No wonder father asked me to come here immediately. Earth is finish. Qiao Tu's face was gloomy. He was a little angry because their shocked appearance just now was really embarrassing. In Qiao Tu's opinion, it was very embarrassing. "Let's go to Earth." Qiao Tu snorted. He had already scoured the Earth with his spiritual sense and discovered many entrances and strange places of the grotto heaven world. However, this was not the main point now. Their mission was to take down Earth first. After that, They could slowly explore it. It was worth mentioning that the attention of Chiao Tu and the others was completely attracted by the dilapidated vast frost palace and the appearance of the first moon. They ignored the detailed exploration of the first moon and did not find the ancient interstellar teleportation array. Soon, Chiao Tu and the others arrived at North America, where the Dark Shadow Nation was located. The old Fifth Tribulation Transcender said in surprise, "This planet is very small, but the spiritual energy is very rich. It's really strange. It's not simple to give birth to a genius like Jiang Ci." Chiao Tu looked around. They were now in a bustling prefecture city in North America. There were many people on the road, but they ignored them. Under the isolation of the immortal's spiritual sense, these ordinary people could not find them. The heavenly eye's mark is in the starry sky near this planet. After we appeared in this starry sky, we were already recorded by the heavenly eye. Therefore, if we want to take down Earth, we can only ask Jiang Ci to transfer the sovereignty of Earth, Chiao Tu said with a serious expression. Even a perfected monarch could not ignore the decree of the planet's lord, so they did not dare to violate it. Once the heavenly court of the Tao Alliance investigated, no one could bear the responsibility. The old Fifth Tribulation Transcender frowned and said, "Sir, Jiang Ci is a disciple of the Fourth Tribulation Transcender of the Purple Heaven sect. We can't kill him. It's simple. Since this is Jiang Ci's hometown, we just need to find his family and friends and use them as bargaining chip." Xiao Shuo smiled. Half a year ago, he brought people to the Milky Way to look for Earth. He wanted to use Jiang Ci's family and friends to teach Jiang Ci a lesson. As for killing Jiang Ci, after Jiang Ci mentioned True Monarch Iron Mountain and True Monarch Liu Xian, Chiao Tu gave up on this idea. Although he had a disagreeable temperament, it did not mean that he was brainless. Ying Lu. Chiao Tu looked at the old Fifth Tribulation Transcender. "Your subordinate is here." Ying Lu was very respectful. "If Jiang Ci knows that a group of immortals like us are on Earth, I'm sure he'll be so scared that he won't dare to go home." Chiao Tu sneered. "Then," he said, "I'll leave this matter to you. We won't show ourselves for now. Jiang Ci probably doesn't know about the uniqueness of Earth yet. Even my father and the other perfected cultivators have only just learned about it. If you use his family and friends as a threat, it should be easy for you to get the sovereignty of Earth." "Don't worry, Your Excellency," Ying Lu said solemnly. After saying that, his figure flashed and disappeared. Chiao Tu looked at the other 7 immortals. "Although Jiang Ci's spiritual sense can't find us, we should hide in the starry sky near Earth just in case. If Jiang Ci knows that I'm the one behind all this, it might lead to other troubles." Then, Chiao Tu and the others flew away and arrived in the starry sky 100,000 kilometers away from Earth on a flying boat. "Your Excellency, the range of a perfected Tao integration cultivator's spiritual sense is only 100,000 kilometers. Jiang Ci definitely won't be able to find us from this position," the female immortal in colorful clothes said with a smile. "Haha, a young genius at the essence soul stage. No matter how talented he is, he can't withstand the absolute gap in strength." Chiao Tu was very proud. He was looking forward to seeing Jiang Ci's expression. Logically speaking, as a 7th Tribulation Transcender, he should not compete with an essence soul stage cultivator. However, he was a person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance and had a perverse personality. In the past, because of a very small matter, he dared to provoke the genius Wine Sword Immortal in front of the Emperor and other immortals at the Myriad Immortal Assembly. Jiang Ci was rampant in front of him. Not only did he not give him face, but he also used True Monarch Iron Mountain and True Monarch 6 Virtuous to suppress him in public. He was as hateful as the Wine Sword Immortal. Chiao Tu was also clear about his personality. He did not try to change it. Instead, he let it continue to grow. This had something to do with his growth. Ever since he fused with the Godfiend skull, he had become a Godfiend. After fusing with the skull, he had to stay at the limit of each cultivation realm under his father's strict requirements before he could break through. This kind of cultivation method was very torturous in itself. In addition, the Godfiend skull was constantly affecting his temperament. After more than 70,000 years, his personality became more and more crazy and perverse. Xiao Tu knew that this was the correct way to refine the godfiend skull. Xiao Tu and the others did not know that Jiang Xi only had one relative, Jiang Dudu. Then, half a year ago, Jiang Dudu was taken away by the mysterious old man Bluestone. Now, on Earth, the only people who could threaten Jiang Xi were some of his old friends who were still alive. The old man who looked like a five tribulation transcendent, Ying Lu, used his spiritual sense to control several high-ranking officials of the Great Xia Alliance. After searching around, he finally found his target. Pak Sn Province, the Zhong family. More than 200 years had passed. The Zhong family had grown from an unknown small family to a big family second to none in the entire Great Xia Alliance. This was because the ancestor of the Zhong family, Zhong Wei, was a close friend of the legendary expert Jiang Xi. Of course, the Zhong family's strength had a lot to do with the fact that Zhong Wei had married more than 100 wives and had countless children. Jiang Xi is in seclusion again. This cultivation maniac, when can I catch up with him? It seems that I can only win against him in the aspect of marriage and childbirth. Zhong Wei wore beach pants and was sunbathing leisurely. However, he kept lamenting. Suddenly, a black-robed old man appeared in front of him. Who is it? Zhong Wei stood up and a supreme-grade spiritual saber appeared in his hand. You are Zhong Wei? Jiang Xi's best friend? Ying Lu asked. Zhong Wei's throat moved. The black-robed old man exuded an inexplicable aura that made him tremble in fear. However, he suppressed his fear and said, Why are you looking for Jiang Xi? Trying to play tricks in front of me? Are you trying to commit suicide? Ying Lu sneered. The powerful spiritual sense directly restrained Zhong Wei. Puff. Zhong Wei opened his mouth uncontrollably and spat out a mouthful of black blood. When he was talking just now, he wanted to take the opportunity to shatter his golden core. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.